Hey guys, I love doing stand-up comedy, and I want you to come see me do stand-up comedy. I have a new hour and a half, and I'm going to be doing it August 16th. Wisconsin, Chicago, where are you? Chicago, you got to make the drive in. I'm going to be at the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, August 16th. My opening act is going to be Marquette basketball head coach Buzz Williams. He's going to be introducing me. He confirmed. It's going to be an amazing night of comedy, August 16th, Pabst Theater, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you live anywhere in Wisconsin, or if you live in Illinois and it's within a 2.5 hour drive, please, let's do this. Let's get this on the very next night. August 17th, Michigan. Where are you? August 17th, Royal Oak Theater in Detroit. August 17th in Detroit at the Royal Oak Theater. Please go buy yourself some tickets and come to these shows. Thank you. And I can't wait to see you, meet you, and shake your hand. All of my shows, as always, meet and greet for everybody. August 16th, Pabst Theater in Milwaukee. August 17th, Royal Oak Theater in Detroit. I love you guys. I cannot wait to see you out there. Make the drive. I'm getting on an airplane. You can't get in a car? Let's do it.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
It'll be about an hour.
Really?
An hour, probably longer, because you fascinate me, Steve Lillywhite.
Steve Lillywhite is my name. Steve Lillywhite is my nature.
Silly White
Silly
on
White.
Twitter.
My finger slipped when I...
True?
It really did. I was trying to get... I was Silly White way before that with when AOL came out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now about to give away my email address.
I'm still on AOL, yeah.
I'm still on AOL.
And Mohr is in it.
Yeah.
My last name is in my email address.
Yeah. Did you see my tweet to you today?
I did.
Why
What's a blue
you're
tick?
not? You weren't born in 1937. So
my
why
father
is it
was born in 1937.
Is that why you
and my
put
father
37?
Yes, and my father used to race cars. And the number on his race car when I was a kid was 37.
Wow.
So when it came time to pick numbers for baseball, everyone's arguing over the 8 and the 2 and the 5. I said, I'll be 37. And everybody went, all right. Nobody argues over the 37.
So that's your lucky number.
Yeah, I guess. It's a good number. It's a prime number.
Yeah, and you can never put it on roulette, though, can you?
No, you cannot, which makes me get up and move from the roulette wheel.
I've got this great way of winning at roulette.
Oh, how's that, honey?
Because when I was doing the Killers this year, last year, I was staying at the hotel, and I would walk past the roulette every night. And I would go up to the roulette table, and I would look at a number, and I think, okay, my birthday. I would not put any money on it. And then, when the wheel went round and the ball didn't land on my spot, I won.
So you didn't lose,
it was fucking,
gain?
No,
win?
I won every time because I didn't lose.
If you came out 0, you're equal.
Exactly.
That's a very smart thing to do.
I love that.
People at roulette wheels, if you put, sometimes if walking through, and I don't think I like how you slipped in when I was with the Killers. Like, we're not going to circle back to that.
Okay.
Steve Lillywhite, you have produced, like, the soundtrack to my life.
Oh, you're the best.
No, I am the best.
Yes.
Let's expound on that. If you want to order anything from Amazon, go to jmohr.com. Eliminate the Amazon. See, these are called toolbars. You probably produce entire albums using your computer sometimes.
No.
You're reel-to-reel still, like the old...
I'm both Luddite and futuristic at the same time.
I like that. I like there's a riot happening over...
Mick Jagger once said to me, Keith's really Luddite, you know.
Keith's really Luddite.
And I didn't really know. I had to look it up.
What does it mean, slow?
Luddite
Basic?
is someone who doesn't understand technology.
But if Keith Richards understands technology, we all need new jobs.
I know. I actually introduced Keith Richards to Robert Cray, and that was like the newest blues he'd even heard.
Ever.
Yeah. But that's what makes Keith great, because he is very much true to his thing. And in fact, you know, Keith Richards never let drugs or alcohol overtake the love of music.
Now, he writes
Which,
that in
you
his book.
can't say that about Jimi Hendrix.
Or most people in
Or
music.
a lot of people in music.
Yeah,
you know.
there's a lot. You could tell by the album when they were fucked up because the album, it stinks.
Yeah.
And in most bands. And Keith wrote that in his book. And you go, well, that sounds like an addict defending himself. But you actually produced Rolling Stones albums, so you can firsthand. The music was his mistress, his lord.
Yeah,
it was the son.
Absolutely. And okay, his heroin taking was a very short period of time. And he did say the fact that he went to Switzerland to have his blood changed is an urban myth.
Yeah.
What about the Richard Gere one? Is that an urban myth?
No, I'm the one. I gave him the gerbil.
Oh, you did give it to him?
It was with me. I don't know how I get out of that story every time.
But you know what?
His name was Mabel, right?
The gerbil's name was Mabel, yeah.
But the great thing about the gerbil story is that it actually appeared before the internet, pretty much.
Yes.
We all knew about that.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's an incredible...
I was in New Jersey. You were in England.
Yes,
and we all
knew
Gere
about the gerbil.
had to go to the hospital with a gerbil stuck in his ass. That was a great urban myth. The other one I heard as a kid was Rod Stewart was rushed to the hospital because he had a quart of cum in his stomach and he had poisoning. He had cum poisoning.
I heard about Little Kim.
Little Kim?
Little Kim, same story.
And the other one, when I was a kid, my sister told me, she goes, you realize Elton John, this is her words, parentheses, SIC, sick. She goes, did you hear it? I go, what? She said, Elton John's retarded. I go, what? He goes, yeah, he's retarded. He's like a retarded person.
I actually have a true Elton John story that I can't say it.
All right. Well, let's talk about my Amazon ad. jmoore.com. Click the Amazon banner. But this one involves you, Steve Lillywhite.
Really? Really?
This is Kismet. I'm checking these as I'm putting the baby down. I look through these, and it says, hey, JJ, I just went to jmoore.com, click the Amazon banner, bought Oswald the Octopus DVD for my 2-year-old. I remember you mentioning it on one of your recent podcasts. It's truly a great cartoon. I didn't go Sarah Brady big, but every bit counts. Keep up the good work. Hey, try to get Steve Lillywhite on the podcast. He keeps going on Kevin and Bean, and he's amazing. Put your name on it. Geronimo Cabrero, California.
Well, I did.
And here you are. How
Here
weird
I
is
am.
that? I mean,
it's
the odds of that are
fantastic.
zero.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I did have... well, you say Kevin and Bean helped put this together, but I actually had people tweet me saying, you should go on... And tweeted both of us. And then you said, follow me and blah, 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 blah.
We got it together.
And I'm weird because I only ever follow 100 people. I've got 100 people. And it's like people say, follow me. And
But
I
even
say,
that's a lot.
But that means I've got to drop someone.
So you OCD about numbers?
No, that's the only thing. That's so weird.
The amount of people you follow.
Yes, it just looks nice with 100 there.
You take good photos, rock and roll photos. You seem to be obsessed with Juarez.
Juanes, I'm doing his next album.
Okay, but that's one thing, and I understand that.
And he's handsome.
He's very handsome, and there's a huge Latino audience that needs to be represented, and they need that Steve Lillywhite, U2, Unforgettable Fire, Boy.
I didn't do
Rolling
Unforgettable
Stones.
Fire. Do your
Lanois.
fucking homework.
That was Daniel Lanois.
Yes, and Brian Eno. Daniel Lanois was really the engineer on Unforgettable Fire. They wanted Brian Eno to produce it. And he said, well, I'm working with this Canadian guy, Danny Lanois, and brought him down. And actually, I remember saying to Adam Clayton, God, there's this guy going around saying he's like producing your record, but I thought he was just the engineer. And Adam said, well, no, he's really good. No, he's a lovely guy.
He turned out to be pretty good.
He did turn out to be pretty good. Although Brian Eno's my favorite. I love Brian Eno because he'll talk about the size of a girl's tits as well as the most intelligent thing in the world.
What's more intelligent about the size of a girl? I mean, what's more intelligent than tit size? That would have been a great comeback if I just nailed it all in one shot.
That would have been. We could take
what's
it again.
More intelligent than talking about the size of a girl's tits?
No, my favorite.
It's like Damone from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Hey, what's more intelligent talking about a girl's tits?
What makes 5 pounds of fat look really good?
Nipples.
I love that.
You're producing Juanes.
Juanes.
However, every photo you take of him on your Twitter page, there's somebody light years more famous exactly next to you or behind you that you're ignoring.
There was Ziggy Marley.
Yeah, fucking Ziggy Marley is right behind you.
I know, isn't that cool?
And you're like all over this handsome Latino guy. I'm like, hey, Steve, Ziggy
Marley.
He's right behind you. He's got the rise, everything. Yeah. He looks like Ziggy Marley. He's the real deal.
I didn't realize that. No, I think he's going to do a duet with Juanes. On the album.
Well, one photo, you and Juanes are holding one another. Beach volleyball. That photo, you guys have your shirts off playing beach volleyball.
Greased up.
Val Kilmer, Tom
Oiled
Cruise, right behind you.
Yeah.
You don't even know it. You have no idea it's happening.
I didn't know that, no.
What is a producer's...
And Jared fucking Leto, he's too handsome as well. Why am I working with these handsome men?
Because I don't know.
And why am I wearing pink?
I don't mind that you're wearing pink. The fact that you put it together with red pants is a little alarming. Go on.
No, there's another word for pink. I was salmon.
Yeah, pink, but that's red.
These are red. No, actually, these are what I wear all the time.
Yeah.
This is just... I thought, you're not going to take a picture.
You know what?
This is a podcast.
When you produce Dirty Work, the Rolling Stones album, that almost broke up the band.
I produced, as I say, the worst ever Rolling Stones album. Until the next one.
I disagree.
Until
Bridges
the
to
next
Babylon,
one.
I think, is much worse.
Yeah.
That's paint by numbers garbage.
Until the next one.
What was the next one after that? No, Steel Wheels was after that. Steel Wheels was great.
No, Steel Wheels was before mine.
No, 88.
Was it?
Yeah, 89, 88.
I don't
Same
know.
as Time Out of Mind, Bob Dylan.
Ah, right, you see.
Oh, excuse me, same as Oh Mercy by Bob Dylan,
Oh, Mercy.
which is
Okay.
tremendous.
Yeah.
That was produced by...
Lanois.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's at that
How
time he was doing the
competitive are you
Neville.
guys?
He was doing the Neville Brothers, which is a brilliant record as well. What was the Neville Brothers album he did called?
I don't know. I never
Something Moon.
scooped
You
their
never heard
stuff
the
up.
Neville Brothers? Oh.
But I hear other bands taking like Neville Brother tracks and putting it on their albums, and like Eyes of the Maker and stuff, and like Dylan pulled a couple things.
Yeah.
Willie Nelson Teatro Lanois.
Yeah.
Like they pulled Neville Brother drum tracks that never got used.
Right.
And that was in Eyes of the Maker with Willie Nelson. You're like, like Willie Nelson. It seems like some of these artists, I'm talking about you now, Steve Lillywhite, Lanois, forget it. But, I do want to know how competitive producers are. Do you guys lobby for bands?
Well, there's the good guys and the bad guys.
Lanois, good guy? Eno, Lanois, Lillywhite seem to be the big three.
Well, there was a...
Mutt Lang? Said that like Norm
engineered
Macdonald.
for Mutt Langer. Yeah. There was a friend of mine. I was thinking about doing a U2 book with Eno, Lanois, me, and Flood.
Yeah.
And
now he's an engineer turned.
Yeah, producer. Yeah. But someone said, you know what that book should be called? U2 by Us Four.
That's a great
It's a great title for a book. Yeah. U2 by Us Four. But to try and get it together is going to be a logistical nightmare, Jay.
The first thing it's true. The first thing you did with U2, and for the listener, you got to keep in mind, Steve Lillywhite's resume, we could do 8 podcasts and talk about one album per podcast, and I would dissect your brain.
Well, we probably could, yeah.
Let's start with
I've
U2.
done more than 8 albums, though.
I know, I'm just in a hypothetical 8, good number, lucky number 8, Yogi Berra.
That's if you're Chinese.
Yes, because it ends on the upstroke. He's right, Matty boy. What's your problem?
The Chinese have that.
It ends
because
on
they
an
don't have
upstroke.
God. The Chinese, because they took God out of...
They're godless people.
I'm a
the
big
Chinese really are godless people.
Yeah, they are. But what do they...
Steve Lillywhite, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm a big atheist and very proud of.
Why shouldn't you be? Life's worked out great for you. It's one big happy accident.
I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that you take gods out of a society like in China, which they did, and all they do, people in general, just replace it with crystals and all that other stuff.
What do you replace it with? When you have to surrender something.
Do I have to replace it with anything?
No.
I mean, the only thing I think is that, I think 2 people discussing something is probably going to be a higher. You're going to get a better result than 1 person. Yeah. So the only requirement is a
higher consciousness because there's more than one brain.
Because there's more than one brain working.
So
but other than that, I really don't. Because I grew up in England where there was no religion.
Right. I want to talk about music, though. I don't want to talk about atheism because I'm not trying to convert you.
You'll lose some people. I lost a lot of people on Twitter.
Oh, no, a lot of atheists. I've had my priest on. Are
you religious?
I'm Catholic. I converted.
You're Catholic. You
converted
to
Catholicism.
I saw that
on
your Wikipedia.
But what I was going to say, when you have to, in a hypothetical situation, if you have to surrender to a higher power, what do you use as the higher thing? Is it just the greater consciousness of humanity?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing.
I think that's terrific.
I mean,
we're not in the recruiting business.
But I'm very lucky that I wasn't. One of my children's mothers she's Catholic, and she wanted my son to go and get that thing when you're 8, and you have to admit you have to admit something that you've done bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, That poor boy. Had
It's
to go
terrible.
and make something up. Or was it my daughter? One of those things. Maybe it was my daughter.
You know what my wife's was?
What?
She went in and she didn't commit any sin. She was like goody two shoes. So she said to the priest, "Forgive me, Father, if I've sinned, blah, blah, it's my first confession. I lied." And she knew that by telling the priest that she lied was in itself a lie, and therefore that was the sin on the spot. Boom.
Your wife's very intelligent.
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
All right, so you walk in, U2 Boy, was that the first U2
That was
album?
the first. Yes, that was the first
Okay.
album.
That is an astounding piece of work. So what I want to know, first off, they're new, you're new.
No, I'm not new. I'd already had some hits.
Such as
Such
Susie?
as Susie and the Banshees,
Yeah.
Hong Kong Garden, XT.
I don't know if you Hong Kong Garden. Go
A
ahead.
classic record.
Yeah, I'm
Ding, ding,
naming
ding,
them. Yes.
ding, ding, ding.
Don't let my face belie what I say. Go ahead.
Okay, Hong Kong Garden. You're too young for this, you see. You were about 5.
I'm an audiophile. Keep going.
Yeah, okay. Hong Kong Garden, Making Plans for Nigel by
I don't know.
XTC.
XTC, yes.
XTC, I'd done...
All right, so you had a little. You had heat. They did not.
I had heat. I was I was second on U2's list for producers. The first guy they
Mutt
had was
Lange.
Martin Hannett, who produced Joy Division. And,
Wow, that would have been a very different album. if you had
yeah,
Joy
it would have
Division.
been.
Yeah.
And in fact, he did produce...
Would have been morbid.
A U2 song called 11 O'Clock TikTok. And then Ian Curtis died. I've told this story before.
Not
but
here.
Ian Curtis...
New set of ears right here, brother.
Okay. Ian Curtis from Joy Division committed suicide.
Yeah.
And U2... And Martin Hannett was going to do the U2 album. He'd done one single, and he was going to finish off the album. But, in fact... When Ian Curtis committed suicide, he decided against doing the U2 album because he was too, fucked up.
Yeah.
U2 went back to their list of producers. I was second on the list. So I then flew over, I met them, and the rest is history.
Was that recorded in Ireland?
Yep. They were the first band to record, first Irish rock band to record in Ireland.
What's the number one job you have when you get to the studio? Because then... they were still chasing it down. They weren't U2 yet. They were like this band that just started.
18 years old.
Yeah.
Bono was.
So what's your
And he was the
number one
oldest.
job when you get in the room with these guys? What's your first impression
Well,
of U2?
my number one job for me is to do it in the first place. That's a really important, because once I'm committed, I'm all in.
Okay.
Because I'm not the sort of person who, there are a lot of producers in the world, and everyone does it. Everyone makes good records and bad records. So I'm not criticizing anyone by saying this, because but there are some producers who really take a lot of pleasure in saying, "Oh my God, I had to fire the drummer." You see, I would never do that. I would really think long and hard before I did the record. Can I get the best thing out of this drummer? Because I'm complete faith, and I completely love bands. So it's like,
do you not take the job if you're on the fence?
yeah,
about the
if I'm
band?
on the fence about
There's
someone.
never been a money gig.
No.
Okay.
Not since 1983.
Which one
No,
was it?
it was an English girl singer called Toya. T-O-Y. And she was lovely, and maybe I did it for the wrong reasons. And, but yeah, I realized that I have to do it for art. For me, art is my higher power.
Good.
Art. I mean, there's art everywhere.
Let's talk about Boy.
Boy.
You meet the band. What's your first impression of the band?
That how old are your children?
10 and 2.
10 and 2, okay. Well, teenage boys are, they don't have much of a personality. And Larry was 16, Bono was 18. And I remember sitting... back... I went to see a gig of theirs in Ireland. And sitting with them after the gig, and they were just sat there. I mean, they just... that... Bono subsequently has turned into his father, and he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a real laugh.
The opera fan.
Yeah, he's great. And but my first thought was that there was passion there, and Bono.
Were they dullards on stage or just
No,
off stage?
no, just off stage.
On stage, they destroyed it, right?
Yeah, on stage they were punk. They listened
That's
to very
what people
few
forget.
records.
Duff McKagan sat where you are.
Yeah.
And I said I don't think the listener knows. Duff was a full fucking punk. You two were punks.
Yeah, I got 20 minutes into the Duff McKagan one.
They were punks.
Yeah.
They were total
Well, that
punks.
was what they,
Going to Red Rocks, waving a white flag.
I was there.
That was punk.
That was one of the most incredible moments of my life at Red Rocks.
Yeah, it's too bad he had a mullet when he did it.
Yes.
You know, he looked like Jaromir Jagr the first time around, but other than that...
But you know, the Red Rocks gig was not going to happen until 15 minutes before. This is the story. I was there recording it, and the band were big, but not that big.
Right.
And they had invested in a helicopter to film. You know, when you get into, like, we're making a video and there's a helicopter involved, you're in for a little bit of money.
Yeah, that also means there's coke.
Coke? I don't get that.
If you do a lot of cocaine, you come up with great ideas like, let's just get a helicopter, film the whole fucking thing from the sky.
Bono came up with a lemon. He never took coke.
Okay.
You know, no.
It was an overall rock and roll.
That's an interesting theory.
It was a rock and roll assumption, not a U2 assumption.
No. But you know, you may have a little bit of a. I think I would always say Sgt. Pepper's would have been a better album without drugs. I know it's controversial.
I don't think it's controversial. I think it's a salient point. I think it's debatable. I don't think they could have gotten.
I don't think Sgt. Pepper's is that good though.
I think Abbey Road blows it out of the water.
Yeah.
Abbey Road is so perfect.
Yeah.
If you can start an album with Maxwell Silverhammer and not lose the audience, not lose the room, because that song's bullshit.
Yeah.
If you can start, isn't that what leads off Abbey Road?
Abbey Road, I can't remember.
It's It's fucking Ringo.
Is it?
But if you can start an album off with a Ringo song and hold everyone together, it's like, obviously it's pretty good.
Did you see McCartney do For the Benefit of Mr. Kite on Colbert?
No, but
first time he's done it this tour since.
I've seen him a bunch, and it's astounding.
McCartney's great. That
How great
band,
he is.
I'm using that band with Juanes, the bass player and drummer.
Your boyfriend, Juanes.
Me and him, mate.
You two, no personality because they were teenage boys.
Here we are, back on
however,
board, yes.
Musically.
Musically, they were. Larry had great ideas. Was not a great. He was still young. He couldn't execute those ideas so perfectly well. I mean, Adam. It was
Larry drummer or Larry.
Larry the drummer.
Edge. Okay.
No,
What's the Edge's real name?
Dave.
That's right. Sorry.
Adams.
Yeah.
So Larry had great parts though, but his dad would come and collect him from the studio at night.
But musically, what was it that made you say, "I'm going to be all in with these four guys"?
These guys.
Because you could have done anything.
Well, I was doing Psychedelic Furs at the same time.
It's a heartbreak beat, and it feels like love.
Which one's that?
Heartbreak beat.
Was that Psychedelic Furs?
Yeah.
Oh no! You see, I did Psychedelic Furs when they.
Let's go back to you two.
The Beautiful Chaos. It was their
the
first
good old
album.
days before he moved to St. Mark's Place in New York and tried to look like.
I'm his friend on Facebook though.
That means you're really friends. That's how you mean you're really friends. That's how you know it.
You know, my favorite thing on Facebook is when it says someone's birthday. I always post on their wall, saying happy birthday to you on Facebook is literally the least I can do.
I like that. That's good, Lillywhite.
It's a good one.
I like it. Steve Lillywhite produced the Rolling Stones, U2, Travis, and we're talking about Facebook jokes.
Facebook jokes, yeah.
Musically, U2.
Yes.
I'm going to get this out of you, son of a bitch.
God.
What was it about them that made you want to do the album? Something drew you to them. What did they?
I don't know.
Up until that point,
analysis. Is this what we're... yes,
up
you're
until that
American.
point, they recorded November, the one album.
November?
I'm asking you. October?
You're
Help
a
me.
wanker.
I am a wanker.
Do your fucking homework first.
I've been up since 4 in the morning.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Leave me alone.
November was their second album.
And Boy was the first.
Yes.
Okay.
So they couldn't have done November.
All right. Jesus Christ. Leave me alone. You did their first album.
And I did October as well.
But what was it about them that made you decide to go all in?
I go all in whatever I do.
It wasn't for the check.
I also went all in with the Chameleons.
Who?
Exactly. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
Although you Google the Chameleons, there's a lot of people who are fans.
I'm like a dog with a toy in my mouth at this point. I'm not letting you get
What made me? There was something about I think Bono's intensity, Edge. Although I couldn't really tell until I got in the studio with them because, as I say, there wasn't much personality at that meeting.
Yeah.
Edge is a scientist.
We like to do it. Yeah. Teenage boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I've got
thanks. No thanks. More.
Well, no, that's a Cockney accent. They're Irish.
I wasn't doing U2. I was doing these other guys I know. Do you know the difference between Bono and God? God doesn't walk around Ireland pretending he's Bono.
Bono. That's true.
Let's talk about the songs on that album are so astounding, and I want to ask you very specific questions. The Electric Company, Electrico as it's written, when they performed that at Staples Center 2 years ago, I lost my mind. Like I cried. I couldn't believe the visceral response I had.
Hang on.
To hearing the Electrico.
It wasn't Staples Center 2 years ago.
Whenever it was,
they were on tour with the Claw.
It was the Vertigo tour then. I apologize.
Yes, Vertigo tour.
Whenever it was.
Yeah.
Wow, you're not letting me off the hook for anything.
No,
I like
November.
When they
the U2 album at November.
You know the U2 album August. So
no, that was Counting Crows. I did an album with them.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Although that was August and everything.
You did that one for the money. It could not possibly have been for the art. Don't even try to tell me you've worked with Counting Crows for the art.
Round here, I love Adam Duritz. You know, it's funny when until I met him, I said I thought he was some sort of mystical, sort of half Rasta type guy.
Yeah,
Jewish guy. And he says, "Yeah, I'm just a fucking Russian Jew."
Yeah.
And I looked at him and go, "Oh yeah, you are."
Did you know when you're in the studio and you hear the Electrico live?
I love that song, by the way.
Every song on that album gets a visceral response. Anybody my age, 40. I'm 42. No. Anybody, I would say from 48 to 35. You hear any cut off of Boy live, and you lose. I challenge you.
There's and you know,
because that's when you're in your bedroom wanting to get the fuck out of that town and make something out of yourself. Yeah. And Uncut Dub and Shadows and Tall Trees and all this stuff. It's Into the Heart.
Yes,
Goosebumps. It's astounding when they play that live.
To that record.
Oh, it's so. You produced an incredible album.
I never listened to it.
I always wonder on the production side in Uncut Dub. There's just a part where it's just the Edge and Adam. Ding dong dum 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 dum. But it goes for like minutes.
Yeah.
And now when you're in the studio,
it's so chilled.
And it's us. I just downloaded it into my phone. I'm listening to it on the way to work tomorrow. I'm so excited to drive to work, and I wish my drive was longer so I could get this down. But they did it on the Vertigo tour, and that's when he brings the kid up on stage, and he asks the kid his name, and then he goes Into the Heart, and then that dun 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 that starts. It goes back up. This meter goes up. Now, as a producer, is the input minimal? You just get out of their way because you watch these guys playing this, and you go, "This is ballsy to do this weird landscapey break."
They've always, I mean, they were punks, but it was always art based. I mean, all of us agreed that the sort of punk that, say, Duff was talking about was not necessarily what we were into, because we were more into the art side of punk. So but melody.
You wanted to share it.
Yeah.
Duff, I had a quote that I was quoted as saying, but I don't remember saying it to Duff, was, "Don't keep it so real, you keep it to yourself." And all those cool bands in Seattle that were so fucking cool, they're still there. Nobody knows who they are. Well, at some point, you got to, some of them, but, Tad's not, the Melvins aren't, Flippers are. So, at some point, you got to take the corporate teat and start sucking and give there has to be a little.
But it's ambition. That's what Bono
ambition
had.
bites the nails of success. A little bit has to be given away. You have to trade a little bit. And it seems like
No, because during that first album, there was a song called Pete the Chop, which was everyone was thinking was their most commercial song. And Pete the Chop never got... Well, in fact, it turned into a song called Whatever Happened to Pete the Chop, which was a B-side. But Bono said, no, we're not ready for this song yet, because we can't... It's not what we want to do. Bono is so visionary in thinking, well, we're not ready for this yet.
I don't know how you don't run out of things to do, because they did start so punk. And songs like Out of Control, if that was played by Stiff Little Fingers, it wouldn't be like, what are they doing that song for? It just sort of fits. It's a very quick time, and they just blow right through it.
Right.
And even the Electrico, like if you just gave the Electrico to like Dead Kennedys or, TSOL or somebody, and they just plowed through it, it wouldn't be like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Why are they slowing it down? It's a punk song.
Yeah.
But I think they got so hugely successful, U2, that I guess what I ask you is
But
if
not
you're
in those days. I mean,
Well,
Boy
no,
was
now-
not a big album.
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying now they are
Yeah.
the biggest band. That's
Yeah.
right now, period. So I'm asking you, if you're going to produce them, is your job to pull them back to punk, or do you allow them to be 50
No.
gracefully?
I'm a facilitator.
Yeah.
You know, I don't build the ship. They build the ship. My job is to be captain of that ship. And sometimes the waters are calm and you just let it sail. Finger on the steering wheel, just going like that. Other times, you know, you're in bad waters, but the clever producer sees the bad waters up ahead and steers round them.
Well, how do you steer around Keith Richards bringing a gun into the studio?
That was funny. He did. That was during, there was a hurricane during
This is our helicopter. We're filming this.
Yeah.
Welcome to Red Rocks. Dun, dun, dun. Adam Clayton. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, Red Rocks. That was fantastic.
How do you walk the?
Keith did bring the gun in. It was during the Hurricane something or other it must have been 1987.
During a hurricane?
No, it was, you know, that when there's all the news like beware.
A hurricane watch.
A hurricane watch in New York.
Hurricane Jerome, I think, right?
No, I'm not sure if
He just made that shit up. Don't listen to him. He's
there
going
are
to put
some strange hurricane names that should never be. There was one.
So
recently.
there's a hurricane watch. They're recording in New York City.
Yes, and Mick was his usual man. Now it's all gonna just fall apart before.
Do you think there'll be a hurricane?
Yeah. No,
That's not a good Mick. Don't
that's
worry
not-
about
that's
it. I'll nail it.
You'll get it.
I'll land it. If I was on stage, I could stand up and do a good Mick. Everybody chante avec nous. Maintenant, Keith Richards chante avec nous.
Keith, I have no idea what that
No, it was
means.
Mick trying to speak French in Montreal.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right now, Keith Richards is going to sing for you.
Oh,
right before
right.
Keith explodes into I've been sober 3 days version of happy. Yeah! I like that the people of Montreal I'm glad Mick spoke to us in French because otherwise we would have been lost. Even though we just sang Jumping Jack Flash verbatim with him in English. Thank God Mick decided, Maintenant, Keith Richards chante avec nous.
Now I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, Keith
He decided to beat the hurricane with a gun.
Yeah, well, he thought there might be anarchy on the streets of Manhattan. Anarchy on the streets of Manhattan. So he brought his gun in, and he spent the evening in the studio polishing it. And the bullets.
That's Keith's band, no joke about it, right?
Keith's band, it was definitely
Musically.
Keith's band when I was there. No, it wasn't.
Only musically.
Originally, it was Brian Jones's
Well, I
band.
know that, but I mean, it's
Keith was like the meek rhythm guitar player.
Right. But it's become...
Oh, it's become Keith's band.
There's
yeah.
no
No
fucking
one else
way.
wants to be in the band for a start. It's true.
They just want to
Mick would
retire.
love to be successful without the Rolling Stones, but he can't. He was in that awful thing just recently with Dave Stewart and...
We did. I like...
No, you didn't. You don't like it.
No, I do.
You don't like
But
anything Mick Jagger's done
You know what I
solo.
just realized? The things I like were covers.
That Mick's done solo.
Yeah, it was like Bill Withers covers.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was good.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
He's a great singer. And he's great, but, you know, he needs the band. And Keith would never have done... The album I did, Dirty Work... The reason Keith and Mick hated each other so much during that album was that Mick had just done She's the Boss, and which in the studio became...
Stadium tour, too.
Yeah, became affectionately known as That Fucking Disco Album. You know, everyone, all the roadies and Keith were laughing about She's the Boss. And then, of course, Keith would never have done Talk Is Cheap if Mick hadn't done a solo record.
Well, then I'm glad Mick did a solo record.
Yeah, because Keith did a
Talk Is Cheap is
fantastic...
great.
Oh, it's a great record. I mean,
Great album.
Look, if you've got Steve Jordan and Steve Jordan's...
Waddy Watchell.
Yeah, and Charlie Drayton. But Steve Jordan's great.
Yeah. And now he tours with them, right?
Steve Jordan tours
Steve
with the
Jordan
Stones?
tours? No, I'm asking. Who
No,
plays
he's-
bass for the Stones now?
Oh, no, Steve Jordan's the drummer.
That's what I meant to say.
I don't know who the bass player for the Stones is. I had Bill Wyman.
Keith Rich. Wow. And Bill Wyman was the first guy to tap out.
And he was. This is one of those things about...
People don't realize he was 15 years older than them. He's like so... If you
He's
think of Stones...
but I went out for dinner with him and his 14-year-old girlfriend,
Really?
who he later married.
And cops.
No. We're Europeans. We love all this. We call them Lolita.
And his son married her mother, correct?
Yeah, that's
So he was
right.
his own son-in-law.
I think I said that on Kevin and Bean. Yes, he was his own son-in-law.
And vice versa.
And he sort of disappeared into it. That happens when you Google. So your computer just breaks.
So people
just blows up.
People think the Stones are old. You have to keep in mind Bill Wyman is actually older by a decade than the Stones.
Yes, he's probably no, maybe not a decade, but he was.
Just for the sake of a stand-up comic. No, just for the sake of stand-up comedy.
Stand-up comedy, he's old.
Great bassist.
Bill Wyman.
Sympathy for the Devil is, I think, a bass song.
I love that.
I think it's an entirely song built around bass.
Yeah. But
my favorite bass line of all time, I'll even go.
Really?
You Never Give Me Your Money, I would say, would be first.
You know, my favorite...
by Paul.
Give me...
Yeah,
well, Paul McCartney is one of the great bass players.
Super underrated.
Oh, he's great, yes. But I love New Year's Day. I think New Year's... Doom, 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 doom.
Now, is that how the song starts? When you meet them and they want to do New Year's Day... You just put the clock away, sweetheart. When you do New Year's Day... Do they come to you with the bass line and go, we're going to build around this, and Bono yelling?
Yeah, that was... Adam had the bass line. Edge didn't really have... Well, no, Edge had the piano line. But the guitar was all jammed, and I would piece it all together. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Now, is there an anxiety that you have when you bring it to them, pieced together? Do you go, I hope they like it? Or do you know... This is their vision. This is why I'm here.
That's why I'm here. I mean, in those days, Bono I would make up some of his melodies by just piecing together. Or in those early days, I would do a lot of comping. Comping, which is basically, Bono would sing the song 8 times, and I'd go through and make up, all the good bits, and then he'd go away and sort of learn that, and that would become...
Well, this is very important what you're saying, because what you cobbled together by comping is what he's locked into singing live for the next 30 years.
Oh, absolutely.
That becomes it. You construct what we enjoy live.
Yeah, and in fact now, it's funny, I had lunch with Bono just the other day, and...
When you get him on this... He'd be a good podcast guest, don't you think?
Oh, yes. But he
people on Twitter are going to go, did you hear Steve Lillywhite's going to get Bono on more stories?
Silly White, by the way, is my my Twitter handle.
At Silly White.
At Silly White.
Yes. I'm going to be at the Pabst Theater August 16th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Please come and see me. And I'm also going to be the next day, Saturday, August 17th, at the Royal Oak Theater in Detroit. And people ask me all the time, hey, how often are you in Milwaukee? Well, I'll know Saturday morning, because if you guys don't come, once. But if you guys fill it up, I'll come all the time. August 3rd, I'm at the Wiltern Theater.
Said that before, I heard you say that.
Yeah, but it's true. But people, it's hard. Yogi Berra once said, catcher for the Yankees once said, if people don't want to come, we can't stop them. And that's the fact. It's much easier to stay in your house than to buy tickets online, get in the car, find parking, and go to a theater. But I can say this, and you being a producer and having seen many, many, many live shows, it's completely worth it when you go. August 3rd, Wiltern Theater, me and Adam Carolla. Come on.
What I want to know is, are you funny?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I hang my hat on that. I put my name on that.
Okay.
You want to go August 3rd?
Milwaukee?
No, August 3rd's here, Wiltern.
Yes, because I leave...
I play the Keith Richards size rooms. Not the Mick Jagger size rooms.
Right.
It's got to be amazing. Mick Jagger goes solo. He's doing Wembley Stadium, Sydney. He's world tour. Keith goes solo, and he's doing the Wiltern. What's the one in New York that I just did? Jesus criminy. Doesn't matter. Roseland Ballroom with the new Barbarian. And it's that's got to be a blow to the ego a little bit.
To Keith, no.
No?
I don't think anything could be a blow to Keith's ego.
Is there anything that could be a blow to any of their egos at this point?
I think you have to have an ego to be up. I mean, Keith and Mick both have egos, yes. Completely different.
Is that the demise?
I don't think Bono and Edge, Bono definitely has an ego. It's, it's important. But I don't really see Adam and Larry having egos as such.
You need an ego. Someone needs to have a huge one.
Oh, yeah.
Is that why bands like Ecstasy and Travis don't have the longevity of other bands? Because they're a little more egoless. Travis doesn't seem like there's any egos in that band. tremendous band. The Man Who and the one you produced.
Yeah, Good Feeling.
A Good Feeling.
Yeah,
great
pretty
albums.
Good. Yeah.
But no egos, and they just kind of go away.
Ego. No, I think it's...
You need that ego to say, fuck you, I'm staying. What's next?
It may be, but here's my favorite quote of all time, and I think this is really how... that this encapsulates what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Is that there is no winning, only not losing. Right. And a lot of artists think they've won. And they take the foot off the brake, or off the accelerator. And they, obviously, as you get older, it becomes more and more difficult anyway. So basically, there's no winning. Bono doesn't think he's won. He doesn't think he's won one little thing.
That's incongruous in my mind.
There is no winning, only not losing.
But that's incongruous as a thought.
In terms of the ego you're thinking.
Yeah, a huge ego, and what you said is incongruous. I would think a band with enormous egos would never take their foot off the brake. And I would think the band that's smaller with no egos, like Travis seems to me like a group of fellows that just kind of want to get along. They don't really want to rock the boat too much.
Oh, right. So so what I'm saying actually does fit in with what you're saying.
Okay.
It does, because because the ego allows you to take your foot off the brake, because you think... Because when you start, right, in a band, you will do anything. But then as you get older, no, it becomes oh shit. It's different. It's interesting because absolutely this is Bono's, and mine as well. There is no winning, only not losing.
To wear sunglasses indoors.
No, that's because he's got dodgy eyes.
You have to, right? You had to, and it just caught up on him during the fly tour. Sure. To wear sunglasses, perfect eyesight, right up until Octung Baby. Perfect eyesight, everything's cool. Octung Baby, the eyes go out.
That McFisto, that was a bit of a dodgy character, wasn't it?
It's all right, but you got you know what? Pedal to the metal. Let's take this turn as fast as we can. David, not to keep referencing the podcast itself, but David Lee Roth said, as kids, you have bunk beds and you put them farther and farther apart just to see who can jump the farthest. And then after a while, they're so far apart, you don't even remember what the game is, and somebody's got a black eye, another one's got a broken arm, and the kids go, well, why'd you do it? I don't know. I don't even know anymore. I know there was lava on the ground or something we created in our heads. But you too, enormous ego, have to.
Yes.
But also, there has to be winning. You have to think you have won. There has to be something.
But they don't, honestly.
Really?
They absolutely. But it's like every time the band's the band go in to because the band that made Boy is not the band that made War, but a little bit. But then the Joshua Tree is very different, and Achtung Baby is a complete...
Achtung Baby, to me, is the best album of the 90s. Better than Nevermind, better than all of it.
Yeah, except for one thing. There's one song on that which I worked on, which makes me...
Let me guess.
Which makes me twitch. Every time I hear...
Is it... And let me guess.
It's on Achtung Baby.
I know, but don't tell me.
It should never have been on that album. I think that...
Because it doesn't fit with the tone of the album?
the term brown... when you think of just like this color, it's just so...
I don't know.
You know the song.
I guess
it's
I don't.
the worst song on that album.
One?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a terrible song.
No. I really don't know.
Who's going to ride your fucking wild horse?
Are you out of your mind?
I hate that song.
That's a great... Who's going to drown in your blue sea? Who's going to ride your wild horses? Who's going to fall at the foot of thee?
Of thee. Yes. No.
You know what I thought the lyric was?
No.
Who's going to fall in front of me? Which is less ego, better song.
Right. Maybe. I'll have a word. We'll redo it.
But when I found out via Twitter, somebody goes, it's actually, JJ, fall at the foot of thee. I'm like, oh, that's kind of douchey. Who's going to fall in front of me? I thought was good. Like, who's going to throw themselves?
There was a story about that, which apparently...
Great song.
No, I mean, a pretty good song, but it was never realized, to put it that way. They don't play it now.
Heaven's
live.
White Rose, the doors you open, I can't close. Beautiful.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I worked on that one song for a month.
What is it about it you don't like it?
I think it's just it's brown. It's just so, it's just so dark and just not very...
I love the guitar. I love that. There's a very specific fuzz on that guitar that's not on other songs that I really dig. It fits. That wouldn't be the one I thought
No, that was the one that I would definitely not have on
What
that.
other songs did you work on the album?
On that album, I did Even Better Than the Real Thing. That's a good one.
Give me one more chance to ride on the waves that you bring. Holy shit. Anybody that wants... Look, I make fun of Bono more than anybody.
Yeah.
But holy shit. The guy can write a fucking song.
He can.
Let me... Give me one more chance to ride on the waves that you bring.
And you know what? I've listened to most of the new album, and I think the lyrics are... Because I'm not sure if the lyrics were so... God, these things get... Yeah, I'm not going to say anything more. But he's written some great lyrics on this new album.
You're not going to say... You're going to say something positive, and you pulled it away like you were going to trash the guy.
No. I think maybe, when he's got something to say, he says it really well. And sometimes he doesn't have much to say. And then he does,
Then he has fun. He goofs off.
Yeah. I'm not sure if people like you two goofing off so much. I think
Is Pop goofing off?
No.
Or is that Pop being ambitious and
Pop is a pretty good record. Actually.
I think it got a bad rap at the time.
It got a bad rap.
I think it's got some really great. I think Gone is an astounding
song.
song.
But live now. Gone is fantastic.
Miami's great. Gone's great. I love those two.
Yeah.
Miami's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just a fun tune. But Gone, I'll put up there with...
No, Gone is one of their great songs. And they still play it live. That's the sign of a great U2 song.
You hurt yourself, you hurt your lover.
Yeah.
Then you discover what you thought was freedom was just greed. What a great mantra.
People slag off Bono for his lyrics, and he's
a great lyricist. And I will say this, I do make fun of Bono a lot, and I talk, I have a hard time. Shut up! I have a hard time with bands telling me who to vote for, what charities to get involved with. Don't tell me to take out my cell phone in the middle of a concert. Yeah. Like, I'm here to get, like, hey, Springsteen, you're the billionaire. Why don't you bring canned goods to the show? Because apparently my favorite charity is Springsteen, because all my money went to you. Now I got to bring Del Monte green beans into the concert.
Yeah.
But I will say, as far as my life, Springsteen, Dylan, Bono, astounding. You listen to some. Look, for the listener, don't look up Rolling Stone lyrics because they're not good. No. It is a rhyming dictionary.
This is my gripe about Led Zeppelin. People say, "Oh, Zeppelin." I think Robert Plant is one of the worst lyric writers ever.
I heard he was a real dick.
Robert Plant?
I heard he was an astounding dick.
I like...
Well, you should care about it.
I have no problem with difficult. Difficult artists are great.
Yeah, but if you're difficult to the point of Led Zeppelin not getting together, if Jimmy Page is going to play...
Sting is far worse. Sting wouldn't get the Police back together
Go on. I'm all about slamming Sting. If you're so much of a dick that Led Zeppelin... If Jimmy Page would rather tour with the Black Crowes than his original mates, that's a problem. Do you know what I mean?
But it wasn't Jimmy Page who said no. It was Robert Plant who
said Robert Plant's a dick.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Page said, well, then I'll go out with these guys because they get it. I like Steve Gorman. He sounds like Bonzo. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
And Sting, a Black Crow story that involves Sting.
Oh, really? Come on, tell me.
Black Crows always wind up like the noon band on either Monsters of Rock or something they don't belong in because they're just a jam band at this point. They're dead-ish, and they jam and they do their theater tours. But they're on a noon. They're like the first band up on an enormous concert, and the Police are on it as well. And Sting's walking across the parking lot with Trudy Styler, his wife, about literally 10 feet behind them, assistant per person, and then 10 feet behind the two assistants, a mob of people that are actually with them. This whole organism working together in the wake of Sting and Trudy. And it's absurd.
Yeah.
And the Black Crowes, Steve Gorman actually told me this story, are like sitting in lawn furniture outside the trailer, drinking beers, like they're in their socks. They're just dirty white boys from Georgia. And they're all over 6'4". Like they're big dudes. All of them are tall and menacing looking, And they walk, and then about 5 minutes later, Sting goes in the other direction, and the whole organism moving goes back, and it's a super awkward thing, and you can tell Sting doesn't want to let his guard down. Like, I walked all the way across the lot for no reason, and Chris Robinson goes, "What's the matter, man? Craft service is closed?" I could open crafts, and they're all literally laughing at Sting, like, the band just cracks up, like they're pointing at Sting and laughing in his face, and everybody just kind of, then the procession went on a little quicker.
Well, my thing, it's like the Live Aid, and then there was Live 8, which was the one in 20 years later.
And there's Live AIDS, which you don't want anything
Live
to do with.
I don't want to get that.
No, you don't want to be near that.
One. Yeah.
You have that one again.
Yeah, I got rid of it. And then
so Live Aid.
So Dave Gilmour puts it aside with Roger Waters, and they reform Pink Floyd for the charity thing. And, that's huge.
Yeah.
That was huge. Sting was offered, apparently, reform the police to do the gig.
For $1 gazillion.
He didn't do it.
Yeah.
No, for the charity thing.
Oh, right.
He wouldn't do it. He says, I'll play it, and I'll play police songs, but I won't get the band back together. Now, there's a big difference between Sting with his hired hands doing this, or the wow factor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the police.
Huge, but he wouldn't do it. So what made the police get back together again? The Trudy Needs a New House tour.
Yeah.
That apparently was what certain people I know
I've heard
it.
Trudy Needs New House tour. I've heard...
Oh, you've heard that one?
Yeah, I've heard John Entwistle is broke again tour for The Who.
He's dead, though, isn't he?
When he was alive. I heard now he's really broke. I heard he hemorrhaged, just could not possibly keep $1 in his pocket.
Oh, isn't it great? Rock and roll deaths of cocaine and hookers in Vegas. You don't have enough of those anymore.
You know what? Died before he got old. Oh, the irony. If Roger Daltrey knew he was singing about his own guys.
Yeah.
They both died before they got old.
It's sad, really, isn't it?
It's really
Although
sad.
Pete wrote
but he's
it,
a fucking, that's nature of the beast. You do a pile of coke, and eventually your heart's going to explode.
Yeah. It's funny. I always think of James Dean and Marlon Brando. They were both like really good-looking young men.
David Gilmour was gorgeous.
Yeah, James Dean died, and we all think of him as being a skinny, young, cute boy in the white T-shirt. Marlon Brando, he's dead as well. Big fat bastard.
Yeah, David Gilmour, big short fat bastard. Yeah. David Gilmour, young, was like teen idol, gorgeous man.
Yeah, he's still a handsome fella.
He looks like he's in Foreigner, he's so fat.
That was the other Mick Jones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So well, how unfortunate that you've got like the coolest and the uncoolest band, both with the same guy in.
It's pretty amazing. Now, when a band argues over time, like the Police, the drummer and the bassist are always arguing over how fast a song should be played.
Well, so I recorded Stuart Copeland one.
Who's to blame?
Stuart Copeland is fantastic. He does his beat is always ahead of the beat. You listen to those early Police recordings, and they're spectacular.
Yeah.
They really are, but they're not in time.
It's almost like a Moroccan weird...
Yeah, you couldn't put a click track to it. Now everyone does records on the grid, and you can, because you can see music, there is really only one in time. But before you could see music, there was like an internal drum rhythm that Keith Moon had. He was so far ahead of the beat, and Stuart Copeland is really ahead of the beat. But then you get other drummers like Marotta, what's his name? Rick Marotta, who used to play on 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover and stuff like that.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know whether he did that drumming. But there's other drummers, who are like behind the beat. They're all in time. But nowadays...
Al Green's drummer seems to be very behind the beat.
Yeah.
Very just a snare.
It's so sexy.
Can't believe that.
It's just holding back. Now, you see, all these historically have been in time. But nowadays, when you look at everything on the grid, you would see it as being not in time.
It would look like an EKG.
Yeah, it would. Well, it would be. That's where the beat is supposed to be, and that's where he hits it every time.
But I hear that with Larry Mullen a lot on songs like on Octung Baby. I hear him sort of get off the reservation a bit. But then if I do it with my hands, because I'll sing to the baby, I'll sing like U2 songs to the baby, and
tell me which one you will sing to the baby.
I love Cruel. Cruel's a great lullaby, even though it's about the decimation of a marriage. I'm only hanging on to Watch You Go Down is a nice thing to sing to the baby. But dong, 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 dong. And then it seems to go off a little. And there's drum intros on Octung Baby that seem to me to be completely out of time. Like, way the fuck out of time.
Right.
But obviously I'm wrong because it's almost like the offbeats are starting, and then he stops, and he keeps it counting in his head, and then he comes back in on the on-beats. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would have to analyze and get back to you on that one.
So, Uncut Dub, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's very good, actually.
That long melodic break in the middle.
Yes.
That's what they had when they came to the studio?
I think so. It seems to me... there was one... actually, yes, I think that's pretty much... But there was, for some reason, Shadows and Tall Trees... And this is the only time I've ever done this. I actually I can't remember. It must have been me because I can't imagine the band. There was one bit where it modulates, and I hardly ever do modulations. You know that thing of, and that thing in a song. Like,
Auto-tune.
No, modulation is where it goes up a step. It's a fake.
Sure.
It's a fake way of getting emotion.
Okay.
In a way, it's an easy shot.
Okay.
And I try not to do it, but I actually modulated Shadows and Tall Trees by speeding up the tape. God, I was weird in those days. Bit weird.
And they just trust you.
Yeah, they did trust me. I mean, they always trust me.
Do you tell them they're doing it, or when they hear it back, do they go, "This guy's a genius. He sped it up"?
I don't know. There was
And how
not
do they
so
play it?
much analysis in those days. Nowadays, there's a lot of analysis.
Because
In
everybody
those
smokes
days-
a lot of pot.
Now, no, I think it's because
Go for
you
the
can.
easy laugh, Steve. Don't even legitimize it with a response. Who's gonna? You're wild. I'm a little obsessed with you hating.
Oh no, I don't hate it. I just twitch when I hear it.
Well, that's not.
Well, because the story goes that song they were playing some rough mixes to Jimmy Iovine, and they're chatting away, and who's going to ride? And they're talking about house music as the songs are being played. And story goes, Jimmy Iovine, they talk about house music. Who's going to ride your wild horses? Comes in and he goes, I'll tell you about house music. That fucking song is house music. You'll buy a new fucking house with that song. So the story goes. So the band went, oh my God. He thinks that song is the hit, meaning. When he says house music, you'll buy a new house.
Yeah.
From that song. So, we kept...
Now you have to go forward.
Well, we had to make this
you've been
song.
knighted by
And
Jimmy
also,
Iovine.
thinking about it, it was the only rock song on that album. And as great as the album was, for America, what do you go to radio with? What is your radio song for rock radio? Because the first The Fly was the first single, I think, off that album.
Love it.
I love The Fly.
And live, it gets long.
It
in a
does.
beautiful way. In the middle, the edge, you go, oh, there's a blues man in there. There is a blues. He's not a computer. Like,
Yep.
they really jam in the middle. And it's weird. There seems to be this odd, like, long-lost lover thing between the Edge and Adam when they do jam on Cut Dub and in The Fly, specifically those two songs. Yeah. They seem to gravitate, and you don't realize it, but night after night, they wind up standing almost touching each other. Yeah. And at the end, they'll just kind of shake each other's fingers like, we did it again,
right.
mate.
Yes, yeah. I mean, jamming is something that you two really are worried about. I mean, certainly when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it was very worrying for them that the tradition of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is that everyone gets on the stage at the end and jams. And they don't like that. That's still the punk rock ethic. Because they don't really know how to jam.
Were you surprised at the Edge's appearance on This Might Get Loud? He seemed a little out of place.
I haven't seen it yet. Although I was mentioned in it, apparently.
Yeah, you were a lot. If I say Jimmy Page...
Who won that, though? Because everyone...
Jimmy, it's not even fucking close.
Jimmy Page won it, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Page starts to play Whole Lotta Love, and the Edge
bit I've
and
heard,
Jack White just look up and smile like Daddy came home with presents.
Right.
Like they're gone. They're children.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Page is smiling like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know who I am. I'm Jimmy Page. And he teaches them, like in the outcuts, he's teaching them how to play the fucking theremin. It gets off the reservoir. It gets crazy.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and Jack White doesn't really have the hits, and it's a truncated version of rock and roll.
So
I think
Edge comes second.
Jack
White
Edge comes
third?
a very distant third.
Edge comes third.
I would say so.
After Jack White.
And I love you too.
Yeah.
Jack White, there's a lot of dirt under the nails.
Yeah.
That there is not with the Edge. And the Edge,
No, Edge is middle class.
The Edge doing a lot of pedals and a lot of, and when he's teaching them, this is how I played, I'm not sure what the song was.
Elevation.
Well, that I like, because that's just, the joke is he's not playing at all. He's moving the pedal on his foot.
Right, that's the only, I saw that in the...
He's not even touching the guitar. And he goes, and he actually makes fun of himself. He goes, it's hard to come to the band and go, I got our new hit. And without touching the guitar, he goes, but Jack White plays a Sunhouse record before he gets to the studio. He's on his ranch or whatever.
Right.
And he goes, this is the song that got me into rock and roll. And it's Sunhouse. And he just gives this beautiful summation. It didn't matter that he's clapping. There's no music.
Yeah.
It's just Sunhouse. Who's grinning? And he's clapping his hands off rhythm. He's not in tune.
Right.
But that song, that's the song that got... And as you're listening to Sunhouse and you're going,
holy shit, like this is a big deal. So so Jack White kind of takes that in with him, and that's where, and he's on a farm, and he makes a guitar out of scratch using like old beer bottles and strings from his fucking house, and you go, all right, and there's a lot of dirt under the nails, and where the Edge, when he's kind of quote walking Jimmy and Jack through a song off of Boy, it's a little like it's kind of, it's very basic, rudimentary, a little Luddite.
Luddite.
Boom!
Boom, there you go. Well, growing up in Dublin in the late 70s, which you two did, mid-70s, it was very, people forget that there was no, it was in such an isolated place. Even though it was the capital of Ireland, it was like a village. And there was one record store that got records in weeks and weeks and weeks after they were released in the UK or in America. And there was no radio that you could really listen to anything. So it was, to get a copy of Marquee Moon by television, which was a big influence, or Iggy Pop. These were but they had like 2 or 3 records. So you two, you see, I didn't ever experience any musical form. They grew up in public. They didn't really know anything about music. I mean, the blues, when they decided to do the blues, I didn't think it was a great part of their history. Like Rattle and Hum doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, Angel and Harlem.
People
like it, but
they never, up until that point, they didn't know
when love comes to town.
Yeah.
Nice Chevy commercial.
They didn't know how to do a 12-bar blues. They didn't know, a 12-bar blues. It's
but does Townsend? But Townsend makes it his own thing. Townsend, and it's the Edge, I think, that says Townsend plays flamenco. It's really just catch and release, catch and release.
Oh, right.
Like dun, 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 big flourish. You know what I mean? He takes and he always takes out the third.
Yeah.
So that's a sound that's strictly British. I know you're talking about Ireland, but the Who is a sound that's completely British.
Yes,
with not a lot of R&B, whereas the Stones, complete R&B.
Oh well, they just basically
and even the Beatles.
Took what America, but you read any like Keith's book.
Yeah.
The first part, I didn't finish it, but at the beginning where him and Mick used to just, they would see each other with bags of records, and that's how they got to know each other. They were real, Keith and Mick were real.
They loved the blues.
Loved music and listened to it. Johnny Marr's the same way. Now, I wish I'd had a camera the night I introduced Keith Richards to Johnny Marr, and they were jamming around my house.
Was it as cool as when I introduced Buddy Hackett to Redman from Wu-Tang Clan? Hello, Redman.
Maybe not as cool as when Jimmy Cliff said to me, really stoned, "Your name's Lillywhite." That was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
That was a $1 million backing group. That was during Harlem Shuffle. That was on the Stones. There was Jimmy Cliff. There was Don Covey. There was Bobby Womack. There was the future.
All these people could headline a theater tour.
Yeah. The future Bruce Springsteen, Patty.
The woman that ruined the last tour for me.
Well, maybe.
I took a piss because she had to play 2 songs, and I missed Backstreets because the line was so long. I was peeing when Backstreet started, and I said, if I ever meet that lady, I'm telling her, lay it off. An acoustic guitar not plugged in. That'll really pull the E Street Band sound together. That's what we've been lacking all through these albums. You seem like, as I go through your page here, of all these things you've done, from, Big Country, Chris Cornell, Susie and the Banshee, Switch for Talking Heads, Killers, Pogue, Psychedelic Vert, Rolling Stones, Smiths, Morrissey, U2, Ecstasy, World Party. These are so diverse.
Yeah, they are.
It seems
but they're
like
all white, aren't they?
Yeah. Not the Stones so much. Keith, I think Keith would take offense to that.
Yeah.
It seems like the diversity of this list, you must have to get out of your way. You really do. These are very, like, Morrissey's Morrissey. There's no fucking around.
One thing I always thought was that when I had success with one artist, instead of doing something similar to have a longevity of career, I would use the success to work on something that wasn't sounding the same.
Right.
So for every time I was, I had success with U2, I would get bands like Flock of Seagulls and The Alarm wanting me to produce them, and I would go, no, thank you. I do U2. That's the band I do in that sort of vein.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been times, Simple Minds, U2, Big Country in the early 80s, but then in the 90s, Dave Matthews Band, Fish, Counting Crows, very different. For a punk rocker to do like a 20-minute songs with Dave Matthews Band was very different. But you see, I don't think of genre at all. For me, I just have two boxes, one that's good and one that's not good.
But how do you know you're going to be able to do your job? You have
That's
to
my
know.
big
like if Wu-Tang Clan asked you to produce the record.
No, I mean there's
but not because it's bad, because it's now you are going by genre. You can't produce hip hop, it's not your wheelhouse.
No, I can't. The reason for that being is that in hip hop, I'm not confident in that top difference, the top 2%, the top 1% that differentiates good and great.
Yeah.
You see, I know what I'm confident about in differentiating those tiny little percentages that make the difference.
Right.
Really. And I know, yeah. And in hip hop, I'm not confident about that. So that's why I'm not, incredibly wealthy. I can't be a jobbing producer. I can't just do it. I can't make an okay record.
Well, you're doing all right for yourself,
I can make some
Lillywhite.
great records, but that's why making the decision to do it in the first place is very important for me. And I'm really excited about Juanes because it's something completely different for me.
You know what? That is true. That is completely different.
Yeah.
The Pogues seem like
I love the Pogues.
I don't know many people that don't.
Yeah.
Most difficult.
You're Irish, aren't you?
Irish, Scottish, yeah. Ferguson.
Scottish, that's right, and German.
Yeah, Mohr and Ferguson.
Yeah.
And Colley. Who's difficult? Like what is the biggest lead singer syndrome obviously comes into play.
Yeah, yes, of course.
But it seems like in a band like the Stones, you got a guy like Keith to go, fucking knock it off. We're going to get this shit done.
Yeah, but Keith and Mick were not talking to each other during the album I did. Maybe 1 hour
that could slow things down.
It was really, yeah. And
but the song,
my job with that was Henry Kissinger as much as anything.
Yeah,
I'd have Keith coming up to me going, "Tell him this," and I'd have Mick coming up saying, "Well, you go and tell him that."
You tell that motherfucker.
It's getting better.
Well, that's because I do Keith for the first time. It's a struggle. But the song off of Dirty Work, One Hit to the Body.
I love that song.
Great song. Not good.
Yeah.
Great
song. Yeah.
And I would say you could put that song.
Do you know who played the guitar solo in that song? A little bit of trivia for Jimmy Page.
Really?
Yes. Wow. Jimmy Page was at the studio.
Why didn't Keith or Ronnie play it?
Because Keith doesn't really do solos.
Is it true when Mick Taylor did Sway and other songs off of Sticky Fingers, and he did the rhythm, and they brought Keith in to do lead or vice versa?
Right.
Keith would listen to it and take the headsets off because he wasn't sure what the fuck was going on.
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
Mick Taylor
Taylor was
the best musician.
The best musician ever to be in the Stones.
Yeah.
And that's acknowledged.
The greatest thing about Keith's book to me is the simplicity with why. If you buy a guitar, if Matty Boy here gets a Guitar Center, takes it off the wall, and even though he knows how to play Start Me Up, it doesn't sound like Start Me Up.
Yeah.
No Stone song, you just can't take it off the wall and play. It's because he takes the last string off all of his guitars.
Well, he does the 5-string tuning.
Yeah, he's got 5 strings.
And which are only 2 different notes.
Yeah, it's like the simplest thing in the world. That's been this big secret since his book. Maybe people in music know it.
But here's a story about Start Me Up, apparently.
Okay.
What album was that on?
Tattoo You. Yeah.
Okay, Tattoo You was an album where
supposed to be it was an outtake from another one, I believe.
Yeah, well, Tattoo You was a whole album of. They didn't get together to record it. They just went through all the outtakes from all the other albums. And apparently, though, Start Me Up had turned, by take 50, it had turned into a reggae tune, and they discarded it for the album it was supposed to be for. What they did, they went back to the tapes. They listened back to right at the beginning. Take 2 was the one that they ended up using. But it was such a crazy session that no one has said, that's the one, move on to another song.
Right. Well, how do you say that to the Rolling Stones? How do you say it?
It was really difficult. I thought, how could a great producer not have noticed Start Me Up and marked it that that's the one. And then even after you do it, you let the band keep doing it 50 times and then say, but go back and listen to take 2. Someone had forgotten. Everyone had forgotten. Right. But then once you're in that, okay, the Stones album I did, and I arrived there and they'd already been recording for 3 months. And everyone had, it was in Paris, everyone had these lock knives, not flick knives, but ones that you go like that. And I walked in and people were just like in general going like this. And this is so weird. 2 weeks later, I'm going, I think I'm going to get myself a knife. So I got myself one. And all of a sudden
Now you're on the pirate ship.
Yeah, now I'm on the pirate ship. I was brought into the pirate ship by Mick. I realised very quickly that it was much more fun to hang out with Keith.
Was that a
Keith
strike?
And Ronnie.
Was that a strike against you in the beginning? Did you have to earn Keith?
Keith, oh, absolutely, yes, yeah.
You're a marked man. Mick
because I was brought in by Mick.
So you can't be any good. Mick doesn't play an instrument.
Although Keith, I was a few of us.
I know he plays guitar. I mean,
Mick,
but I hate when lead singers put guitars on. To me, it ruins the whole show. And that goes for Bono. That goes for Perry Farrell. That goes for Mick Jagger.
Yeah, certainly for Perry. But
any lead singer that puts on a guitar.
Because when Bono puts that guitar on, he's going to sing one. That's pretty fucking.
When Bono puts the guitar on, I know I'm going to take a piss.
So you've never heard one then?
I have heard one.
Come on, that lovely green Gretsch that he plays. Oh, it's pretty sweet.
The way you say it, now I just want to go back in time and hang out there. Really, just that beautiful green Gretsch. So how do you tell the Rolling Stones, Steve Lillywhite, Sillywhite on Twitter, at Sillywhite, Sillywhite. I'm at JMohr37, at The Real Hey Matty. How do you tell the Rolling Stones, that's not working, guys?
Okay, I'll tell you a story.
I like stories, Dad.
I like stories. So Bill Wyman's the bass player, and we did a take, and come in and listen to it. And at the beginning, I would say to Bill, can we recut the bass because it's out of time? Now, Bill Wyman would look at me and go, we're the fucking Rolling Stones. We had a song called Out of Time. Don't you tell me that that's out of time. And I suddenly realized it's all about face. You need to find out the best way to deal with them. So I suddenly realized next time he comes in and we're listening and the bass is all out of time, I say, Bill.
But the bass was out of time.
Yeah.
Right.
I say, Bill, you know what? Can we do the bass again? Because I think I can get a better sound. And he goes, sure, I'll do it for you. I'll do it. Now, he knew what I knew, but it was just a matter of, don't say that to me. So there's ways. I'm very good at my job because I think my personality is conducive to my job. I'm very empathetic to the needs of musicians. So
you don't tell the Rolling Stones that doesn't work?
You find ways of getting them to do it again.
What if they tell you, this is it, this is the single, we got it, we're good, this is the best song?
Well, we knew Harlem Shuffle was the single. That was a cover version.
It's a terrible song, yeah.
It's a cover version.
It's terrible.
But you move.
It's terrible. If you don't like Wild Horses, how the fuck can you like Harlem Shuffle?
Well,
you fucking psychopath. If you don't like Wild Horses, how could you possibly like the cover?
No, because you can dance to the Harlem Shuffle. It has a good groove.
I can dance to the fucking. Get some sleep tonight. I can dance to the Macarena.
You can.
That doesn't mean that doesn't mean I want to. So how you've dodged this question brilliantly, I might add. Maybe I'm discerning your most discernible skill.
Right.
I'm asking you, how do you tell the Rolling Stones no? And you haven't answered it in 10 minutes. So I'm learning.
Well, I've just gave you an example.
That's Bill Wyman. That's a big difference. Bill Wyman, who's about to retire.
But you do lots of those little things.
How do you say it to Keith?
No, he didn't know that. To Keith, you. I'm trying to think of an example
where
does it
ever happen? Is Keith on the money all the time?
No, one's on the money all the time. That's impossible. We're only human. Everyone's only human. But you
Neil Peart on the money every time.
Oh God, Rush hate me. They hate me.
I just took a name out of a hat.
They hate me because I said I'd produce them, then I didn't. The only time I've ever almost been threatened with having my legs broken in the music business
by Canadians,
by their manager. He didn't. He implied but Steve, you said you'd do the album. And I said, look, you don't understand. You don't want someone to do your record. You don't want to shag someone if they don't want to shag you.
Right. Well, no, I think that you're wrong on that one.
Really?
I think a lot you chase what you can't have, right?
She was gagging for it. I love that word. That's an English expression.
Gagging for it?
Gagging for it. She was gagging.
Somebody's going to use that for the rest of his life, Matty boy. At the real Hey Matty.
I have a different interpretation of that, though.
Gagging.
His involves runny mascara. When you, what was I just going to ask you? Oh, I heard Ronnie Wood, when he went to rehab for booze, was really just to because people don't realize the Rolling Stones, aside from Mick, Keith, and Charlie, everybody's on salary, including Ronnie Wood to this day.
Well, he's the new boy. Yeah, I know.
He's on salary. Ronnie Wood's the new boy still.
Yeah, they always call him. He was a new boy in
1975.
Yeah. Because so he's 10 years when I was with.
He makes a salary.
Yes,
he's an employee. And he gets a check, just like how you and I would get a check from a company. Yeah. He's not a royalty guy. That's why it said in the credits will say, "Hey Negrita, inspired by." It never says written by Ronnie Wood. I think there's 2 songs in the entire catalog where they give him a shot.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bill Wyman has way more writing credits.
Right.
So I heard when he went to rehab, it was really just to renegotiate his contract because you can't go on tour without Ronnie if you don't have Bill, which would have been fucking brilliant.
Right.
He goes to rehab like, hey, man, I got a problem. I'm doing 90 days. And they're like, well, we're going on tour in 2 months. He goes, I guess you're going to have to go out with Jeff Beck or somebody. And they had to go. And I don't know if you remember, he was in rehab for about 6 days. They came to a very quick
Well, he's been in rehab more than once.
Right. But I heard that one particular time. You didn't hear that?
No, I hadn't heard that. But I do remember him coming out of rehab once, and I was in Dublin, and he was in Dublin, and he was drinking non-alcoholic beer. He'd just come out of rehab.
That's not a good sign.
And we were they always say non-alcoholic beer is for non-alcoholics.
Yeah.
I always remember that when I was going, and then
I remember I had one, and the smell of it made me feel
horrible.
very funny.
Yeah. I don't.
It made me close. It made me feel great. It made me get a little. I'll put it very succinctly. It crushed me with anxiety.
Oh, really?
Having a beer to my mouth that was non-alcoholic, but the smell and the liquid and everything made me go, as if I had
Yeah. Did you actually drink it?
Yeah,
you did.
I had some, and then it was a bad news, and I called my mom, who's been sober 40 years.
Wow.
No, 30 years. Excuse me.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and she said, bad idea. It's just not because you'll get high off it. Like you'll get high off NyQuil before you'll get high off.
Yeah.
But the procedure of it all is just a horrible idea.
Is that why I never want to white knuckle?
Get yourself
white
a club soda. Just get a Diet Coke. Have a nice time.
Yeah. No, water.
Water.
You
want a fucking water.
Water is where it's at, and coffee. Oh, fucking
I love coffee.
No, I want it. Do you like coffee?
Oh, I'm crazy.
I love coffee.
I pee out of my ass because I love coffee so much.
I don't.
I drink so much coffee I don't have solid bowel movements.
Right.
I didn't mean as a means of celebrating coffee. I decided to pee. I let men pee in my
let's pee out of our ass.
I let men pee in my ass. I hold it, and then when I see coffee that I really like, I drop trow and I spray pee out of my butt. Smiths,
I only very briefly. I just mixed one song called.
But they liked you enough that Morrissey.
Oh
took you aboard.
I love Morrissey. He really is one of the stranger men in music.
Is he straight or gay, or to be determined?
No, I mean he's very shy, but he it took a long time. But I think he's gay. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I really because I couldn't tell.
No. I mean he was celibate for a hell of a long time.
A stunningly beautiful man.
Really?
Gorgeous man. Oh yeah, Morrissey. Even now, like in his old age,
he's got an overbite.
All right, well let him down easy. When you're not fucking him, let him down easy. Say, look,
I love him to death, and he's so sweet.
I love him to death as well, but it seems like
one of the great, and the Smiths are one of the great bands.
I agree.
They're in. You see, I wouldn't put the Stones in my top 5, but
bands.
Yeah, I would put the Smiths in my top 5 only because Time is a great. Oh, you can only, and I wouldn't put U2 in my top 5 bands, but Time is a great.
Who's in your top 5?
Beatles first, Beatles. Queen, Smiths.
You don't think Queen gets
Beach Boys?
Oh, fuck off!
No, you're an American. You don't understand.
I live in Malibu. I don't like the fucking Beach Boys. Pet Sounds is a glop of shit. Pet Sounds gets so. Oh, Lillywhite's getting Lily.
Really?
Pet Sounds is the most overhyped pile of fucking dog shit I've ever heard.
It's better than Sgt. Pepper's.
It's not.
No, I think it
conceptually. First of all,
there's no concept. There's no concept in Sgt. Pepper's. you think at the beginning, and let me introduce to you the one and only Billy Shears. You think this is going to be a great concept album, and then it goes into something that is, Pet Sounds at least has something that is a thread going through it.
Yeah, garbage. The thread of shit.
Thread of shit.
At least I put my name on it. At least I'm not going to lie to you. Go, sure, yeah.
Oh,
I think they're.
Surf's Up.
I think for the time, you know what? I think that is a visceral response to you growing up in dreary London. Like
no, because I hated the Eagles. Now I like the Eagles.
I fucking hate
but
the
But the
Eagles.
whole Hotel California, I just despised in those days.
Well, because it's bad.
What? No,
It's
he's a
rich
guitar
white guys
soloist.
singing
Yeah.
for rich white people, drinking
Yeah.
wet white wine out of red Solo cups.
That's true.
Joe Walsh, on the other hand, you want to give me James Gang?
Right, okay.
I'm in.
All right,
From
I'm
48,
beginning to
let's do
understand
it.
your
I know what you do, and that's got some dirt on the nails. That's got
It does,
that's got some
that's-
Mickey Thump
you
in
say
there.
that, dirt on the
and that's a
nails. I
trio.
get
I'm a
that.
sucker for the trio.
The greatest ever trio?
Loudest ever.
Who is the greatest ever trio, would you think?
You're probably going to come at me with some shit I never
No,
thought
I
of
don't.
before.
Cream. Arguably. I'm just saying.
Cream.
Cream could be the greatest ever trio.
Well, not Rush, obviously.
Oh, no. They'll kill me.
They'll
No,
kill
not
you.
Rush. I
don't think Rush.
No, I don't think so.
But I did not.
But Jimi Hendrix. And that was a band.
It's a trio, but it's Jimi Hendrix.
No. It's a band. That bass player and drummer.
Buddy
whereas-
Miles and
No. Noel Redding and
well, he had a trio each time.
the original Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Yeah, but Live at the Fillmore East, that's the new crew with Buddy Miles. That was a trio too, wasn't it?
Okay, yes. But the early, the great recordings.
The Experience was certainly a trio, and you have to put them, Electric Ladyland and Voodoo Child, when you realize that's a trio. I think what's alarming, and I am going to answer your question, and I want to finish your top five. Nobody gives a shit about my top five. I certainly don't when you're sitting in my house.
But what's your number one?
Ever?
Yeah.
Beatles.
Yeah.
It's not even fucking...
Have to be.
It's
not
ridiculous.
close, is it?
And
There's the
anybody
Beatles
goes,
and there's everyone
Are
else.
you a Stones guy or a Beatles guy? I'm like, I don't know, but you're apparently an idiot to think that those two are the two.
No, one's a pub rock band.
It should be...
One's a cover band.
Stones, Zeppelin, and someone else is here, and the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's an...
See, I wouldn't put the Stones
I
and
don't think
Zeppelin
what
anywhere
people
near there.
realize or appreciate is the
I put
Beatles
Pink
being...
Floyd way ahead
the
of those
Beatles
two
being
bands.
first.
Yes.
The fact that the Beatles were fucking first, and they didn't do Queen Bee, they didn't do Willie Dixon songs.
No.
They got off. Well, they did at the beginning. They were doing skiffle
Yes, but
band
then
stuff.
they
But then they fucking did Polythene Pants. They only had 40
Penny
seconds
Lane,
of a
Strawberry
song.
Fields.
But even going back to Abbey Road,
Yeah.
they weren't together when they recorded it.
No.
But they go, we only have 40 seconds, Polythene Pam, and they go, well, let's fucking record. Let's not. They didn't even try to make it into something other than what it was.
Yeah.
It was a sum of a part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You're a fucking producer, and I'm like, do you understand what I'm saying about putting this song together? So let's just put them all together as a side too.
Yeah.
Okay. What surprises me the most about I'm going to put James Gang in my top 5 trios.
Okay.
But what surprises me most about trios, and what surprises most people don't realize back in the day when you went and saw a concert, and I heard this from the great Ron Bennington, you didn't know what the band looked like. That the whole experience was you didn't even know how many guys were in it. You read the liner notes. You gathered all the information you could from the album itself.
Yeah.
And when people saw the James Gang, my friend Marty Greenfield lives in upstate New York. Big shout out to Marty. Told me this. They were looking around for the rest of the band because it was
Right.
so fucking loud and sonic.
Right.
And there's only 3
Three
hippies
guys,
on stage,
yeah,
just
yeah.
skinny dudes. So that's what always amazed me about a trio is how fucking loud they can play when done well. Nirvana is so loud and sonic and so...
Actually, yeah. Nirvana, I would... Yes.
So simple.
Yeah.
Out of the ground,
Well, the
into
reason
the
is-
sky. And that one lyric sums up the entire experience. Out of the ground, into the sky, out of the sky, into the dirt. That's the lyrics of the song.
Yeah.
And that's how, into the dirt, dirt, dirt. That's how it ends.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Nirvana, best trio of all time.
No, I would agree with you. Nirvana. I love Nirvana.
I thought you were going to smash me over the head with that.
No,
Come at me.
I'd forgotten about that. I never
some fucking-
think of them as a trio.
Have you ever
but-
heard of Bloody Gypsy? Open for Noel Redding. I thought you were going to come out with some fucking crazy British shit that I don't know.
No, I'd say Nirvana.
I think the Police are astounding.
The Police were great. Yeah.
The Police made it okay to play quietly. Walking on the Moon.
Oh,
It took
it's-
me
yeah.
100 listens to realize it was a love song. I was so caught up in Walking on the Moon
Yep.
and just being high while I
Yeah,
listened
it's just
to it.
such a pity Sting is such a twit.
Biggest
but-
dick in rock and roll?
No, I saw
Is he on the
I saw
short
Ben
list?
Harper's dick the other day.
No,
it's huge.
Is he the biggest
Ben
dick?
Harper has an enormous penis. I was standing next to him in the toilet. I had to go back and tell everyone.
You looked over?
Duh.
Or
no, but you know those
people.
You know those people with big penises always show them. It's like, you know, us people with small penises, we're all like shy.
Yeah, we know.
You know, we hold it like this. Whereas
I hold it with 2 fingers like I'm smoking it. No, is Sting the biggest dick? Is he on the short list?
I could never not possibly mention anything more, as I'm going to be sued.
All right,
He's a
fair
wonderful
enough.
man.
Who are your favorite trios? Give me 3 since it's 3.
Trios. You know what? The Police, Nirvana. You
Cream.
absolutely have good taste.
Police, Nirvana,
I
Cream.
love Cream.
Cream's insane.
But in terms of great guitarists, you see, I always...
No, but trios. Are those your 3?
Trio, yeah, I think so. Cream, Nirvana, and the Police. That's pretty good.
I'm jacked up about that. Me and Steve Lillywhite meeting on that. Yeah. Your 5 greatest bands of all time: Queen, Beatles.
Yeah, Beatles first. Second place is either the Smiths or Queen. I'll always.
Wow.
No, I know it's controversial.
I don't think it's controversial. It's your opinion.
But you know, what's the definition of? For me, it's timelessness, because I believe in art, but what we all aim for in our art is timeless art. You know, whether it's the Chrysler Building or the Concorde.
But see, when I see the Smiths, I hear a very specific time in my life.
But it's pristine. I mean, Steely Dan is timeless. You know, I always actually liked Steely Dan because it was a bit weird.
I liked them for a moment until I realized they sucked.
No, you're wrong.
Really?
Yeah, you're wrong.
For me, how's that? Because I can't get sued. They suck for me.
No. Your opinion is.
I understand. I understand how talented.
How can you have an opinion?
Because I have an asshole. I understand how talented the guys are.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not my bag, baby.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like the drugginess of them, actually.
The Smiths seems like they could have used a Steve Lillywhite early because it seems a little overproduced.
What I love about the
Smiths, seems a little wait, let me finish real quick because I need to quantify this because I don't want you to get the wrong opinion of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I love the Smiths.
Yeah.
An incredibly important band, a great band. I just wish somebody opened it up a little bit for them.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
It has a ceiling. The sound, I should say.
Yeah,
not the band. The sound.
Well,
has a ceiling.
The sound is the band, and the sound.
And
is
How Soon Is Now is the song with no ceiling on it. It's almost like for that one single, the lid gets left off.
But you know what? How Soon Is Now was an extra track on a 12-inch.
It seems like they all are, right?
It was an extra track on a 12-inch.
How Soon Is Now, the biggest hits.
Yeah.
Are afterthoughts.
So yeah,
Beatles, Queen, Smiths, Pink Floyd,
wow. And The Who. Because I'd say The Who are great without a brilliant lead singer.
I say without Roger Daltrey, The Who don't miss a beat. And I've said that for years, and people tell me I'm crazy.
No. I mean, he's a good singer, but he doesn't bring it better than without him.
People think we're crazy.
No.
People think that is the most, because he was one of the greatest frontmen of all time. I'm like, look, if Pete Townsend can sing a third of the song, and I don't even realize the switch off, like a quick one while he's away, and Magic Bus, that's Pete.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. No. I mean, he sings his own songs better than, at least as good as Daltrey. Daltrey doesn't. I mean, he's great, and I love that. Did you see that documentary on The Who, the most recent one, post Entwistle dying, where
musicians gave their opinions?
It's a fantastic documentary, and the two of them at the end saying, "Well, we're the," and Townsend will admit that he used to hate Daltrey. Yeah. Because maybe for what we're saying, because Daltrey didn't didn't take his songs to an extra level. He just faithfully reproduced the songs. I mean, he didn't make them worse. I won't say that, but he didn't,
It seems like now they're on this weird nostalgic tour where Pete goes, I never realized how much you meant to me.
Yeah, well, because it's only the two of them left.
Yeah.
Brutal. Yeah.
You can't say Hendrix for any of this, and you can't say Beatles for any of this. Who's a better guitar player than Townsend? Who's a better mind? Is there a better mind
than
musically
Townsend?
than Townsend?
Ooh,
you probably put Gilmore in there.
Yeah, Gilmore. But there was a time when, I would not let guitarists bend a note because that was uncool. Back in the late 70s, it's like, don't bend your notes because that's like...
Is it possible that Townsend is underrated?
Yes, I think so. Because
I think with the kid stuff that he got accused of and stuff, people he became a punchline. But I don't think people realize the amount of work that's happening.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you
listen... And he didn't have a Lennon or a McCartney
he
go with
was
him.
all of them.
It was all him.
He brought the song in.
Yeah, he brought it in. So really great.
He brought in a jug of milk and said, I want everybody to do this jug of milk.
But I would say the same with Brian Wilson. You see, Brian Wilson was the brains. He didn't... And also, the Beatles had George Martin, which was,
greatest.
You cannot underestimate the power of a team.
Yeah.
You see, that for me is...
a lot of people have been given the title the fifth Beatle, but George Martin was the actual fifth. And that was like on an 8-track.
Well, of course, but he was the grown-up.
Yeah.
But he was a facilitator. He was like, if the Beatles said, let's try this, he went, okay, let's try it.
But even deciphering like what guys on acid are trying to get across.
Yeah.
Like Strawberry Fields, Yeah. Yeah. It's an orphanage where I grew up. Like, all right. How about you just sing it? I'll bring in a full orchestra and we'll combine the two.
Oh, it was incredible.
Pete, the amount of work that's happening, I don't think people understand. And quickly to go back to Led Zeppelin, when you listen to When the Levee Breaks, John Bonham just playing the opening drums, it takes you almost like half your life before you go, oh shit, that's just one guy. That and you just don't even realize that's just a guy working. It's like he's putting up a wall.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
and I think that was
the reason Zeppelin aren't in my top 5 is purely because the asinine lyrics. I mean, I don't get any of Roger.
Is that why the Stones aren't in? Because the Stones lyrics are.
Yeah, but not.
It seems like lyrically. They got great when they got musically old. Like, I really like Voodoo Lounge, and I think it's an incredibly underappreciated album. And I think musically, they're right there. Yeah. Keith is blistering, or whoever's doing the solos, because you never know.
Right.
And, like, I'm out of Tears and Two Hearts Together. Like, rarely do you hear a love song about we're in love right now, just together. It's either I want you or I just lost you.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got it.
And Suck on the Jugular. Like, these are really good Stone songs, but it just got written. It got put into that pile of they're old.
Right.
And I think that's too bad.
Well, that's the trouble. I mean, one of Bono's theories about, you need to... I mean, I've never really been an Aerosmith fan, but at least they look like rock stars. When they walk into a room, you go, well, they look like rock stars. I mean...
That's another band to me that's all bass in a good way. Songs like Sweet Emotion, like it's songs constructed around bass.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands, because I always thought the bass was just this instrument. I wrote it off most of my life.
Which band, probably the Police, are the band most evolved around the bass?
I don't think Mr. Copeland would stand for that. So I think he drums his balls off to try to get that out.
Right. Okay.
But when I listen to the Police, certainly.
Yeah.
But band around the bass most. It's tough.
Well, there's an English band you probably aren't that aware of called the Stranglers, who are fucking great.
But the money's so good.
Walking on the beach, dun, dun, dun.
I know, it's the first track. I had that album. I had the album, The Stranglers. The guy was just wearing a white album cover, and the guy was in black leather.
Yeah, great bass sound. Really grungy bass sound.
But then some bands get by with no bassists.
They do.
Yeah, the Doors. Although I hear a fucking bass
I hate the Doors.
Really?
Oh, terrible.
I really like Morrison.
Did you like his lyrics? I always thought he was...
Cancel my subscription to the Resurrection.
Yeah.
Send my letters to the House of the... It's pretty good, man.
Just the fact that he read books, big deal.
What a jerk.
No, but it was like this big thing like that he read books.
No, he wanted to be a poet.
No,
I think. Let me tell you about Texas radio and the Big Beat. I think Jim wrote some real heavy shit, man.
Okay.
We
joined together on the.
We're making the double helix.
We did well
man.
on the trip.
Yeah, but then we separate.
We're miles away.
Who's your? Oh, the bass band is the Stranglers. I don't know a bass band. I guess the Police.
Yeah, I don't know. The Police, I think. Okay, post Beatles, Lennon or McCartney?
Oh, McCartney, not even close.
I'm in.
Not even close.
Absolutely.
80% of the
I loved
catalog.
Wings. I think Jet.
I love Wings.
Listen to what the man said. Band on
Talking
the
about
Run.
the TV show Wings. I love Wings.
Silly love songs.
Yeah, it's incredible. Band on the Run.
Even Silly Love Songs. Terrible title, but a fucking
and we're not
great
taking
song.
away from John Lennon.
No.
We know he's a genius.
But we're talking
But we're talking about a guy that did 80% of the work while another guy was tripping his fucking balls off, hanging out with Yoko Ono, sitting on the floor. Anybody that disagrees with this, go to YouTube right now and go Helter Skelter rehearsal. And you'll see Paul on a righty guitar, even though he's a lefty, and he's doing the bass with his mouth. Helter Skelter. And he's that same foot tap that he does in black. It's a lefty guitar. I'm full of shit. And then they pan over, and John's on the floor, just fucking smoking a joint with Yoko, and I'm like, that's a lot of work.
No, absolutely, Paul.
And he never let it poison them.
Yep.
And if he did, we don't know about it.
Right.
You know, I'm sure they had rows and stuff.
Yeah.
As you Brits call it.
Rows.
Disagreements?
Rows. No, we don't say rows. We say row. The
Rows
same
is
as
you. That's an Italian restaurant up in... I'm surprised Queen's in your top 5 of all
Queen.
time.
Well, because
Queen,
Brian May and Freddie
incredible.
Mercury.
Yeah. I'll say this.
Freddie is a brilliant singer.
Best frontman of all time.
Look, you're a jock. You know, you're a regular jock.
People tell me that.
You are. You got a lifeguard fucking t-shirt on.
I worked hard for this t-shirt, man. You see my karate bag.
But, you know, to the fact there was this homosexual from Morocco fronting...
From Zanzibar.
Zanzibar, yes.
Even weirder.
Yes. Fronting this sort of heavy metal... I mean, it was a great combination.
Filled with a stadium of straight guys going, fuck yeah!
I know.
And telling their parents, I'm going to see Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but his harmonies were just, you know... And come on, Bohemian Rhapsody is... And you know what? Do you know what Bohemian Rhapsody is called within the Queen camp?
No.
Bo Rap.
Oh, that's cool.
They call it Bo Rap.
That's like when you do a movie and they're like, you know, when we were working on, would be good, Iwo. Instead of Iwo Jima, they got to shorten every single thing.
No, they couldn't.
If you wrote Ruby Tuesday, you're like, well, the other night we were performing Rude 2. It's like, don't waste any syllables on us, guys.
No, Bo Rap.
What are you most proud of? You got to take one thing you produce, put it in a time capsule, and that's the only thing they can play at your funeral.
Randomly, Big Country. The reason being is that before the song in A Big Country,
Not Johnny Thunders, huh?
Oh, Johnny Thunders. No, You Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory was a fucking great song.
He's a fucking great guy.
Oh,
it's just tragic and great, but it couldn't
I was
end
that close to taking heroin. I went, nah, no thanks.
It could not have ended any other way.
No.
Moment,
it actually lasted longer than I thought.
Yeah. The moment anybody had ever met him, they went, whoa.
But he was great. And have you heard that song, You Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory?
Beautiful.
Great song. Beautiful song. A Big Country, only because they...
You didn't do their first album. The first album was called... What was the...
The Crossing. In a Big Country. The album was called The Crossing.
Yeah.
The song was called In a Big Country.
Yeah, that was a huge hit.
Huge hit. Actually, they had lots of other hits, included...
But that was the one that hit here in the States.
That was the one that hit in the States, which was a bit of a pity because they were considered a novelty band because, you know, when you have...
The song and the album and the band
song and the band name, it can't be the same.
Yeah.
You know.
Isn't that your job as a producer to make them change the name of the song?
You know what? I probably should have done. But you couldn't really.
Big and funky.
But he wrote that song after I gave them the sound.
Oh, yeah.
On a song called Fields of Fire, which we did one song to start with.
That hit here, too.
And, yeah.
That was like the little one that came after the big one.
Ding,
very Irish.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Scottish, but all that...
All right. It's a fucking island. Stop breaking my balls about Ireland, England. You know what it isn't? American, buddy. I'll play some fucking Bad Brains for you on the way out. You want a goddamn real band.
No, I don't think California really did that great with punk.
Really? Well, Bad Brains.
No, give me the... New York had the, Ramones, vastly underrated pop band. Fantastic pop band.
Yeah. Everybody says The Clash is the only thing that matters, but I'll take the Ramones
No,
over
I take the Ramones over the Clash.
Yeah, me too.
Great melodies. I mean, the Clash had some
when the Clash goes reggae, like Straight to Hell and stuff, I go, Ooh, I wish you guys did this a little more.
Yeah,
it's evolution rock. Like
Yeah.
I said revolution rock and straight to hell. Like when they go reggae, they do it better than anybody did it.
They were great.
Way better than the Stones doing Oh Cherry.
Yeah. Well, they smoked a lot of weed.
Yeah. Ramones, my top 5.
Fantastic.
I'll go. My top 5. I'm gonna get laughed out of the fucking building.
Oh, some heavy metal.
Because I like.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah, big hair.
I like-
Ringer, slinger, dinger, pinger.
All 3 of those.
All
Those are
those.
Daffy Duck songs.
There's never been a good band with at the end of their name.
Hashtag First.
There isn't.
Silly
Tell me,
white.
Winger, were they any good? Foreigner, no.
A lot of heads on fucking Foreigner. Watch your mouth there, son. You're just mad because you lost the Revolutionary War. Let's just go back to what this is all about.
You may have won the war, but me, Piers Morgan, and fucking the guy who's doing the Daily Show at the moment.
You fought in the snow with bright red uniforms. Like, that's our fault. You stood in a straight line. We didn't know we started. We didn't know if it was fair.
It's so funny. I know nothing about English history in America because we were never taught it. Because we lost, I think.
We came over here because we didn't like the way shit was going on over there. And you guys came over here and said, you got to pay your taxes here like you do over there.
I pay lots of taxes.
We said,
to
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And then we had a war over it, and now we're taxed, and everyone here that's wealthy gets taxed 50% anyway. And it's a tax on everything you buy. Taxation without representation. It's represented very well
Are you
here.
a libertarian?
Probably. Yeah. I can't divide politics into 2 houses. The Zodiac's 12, and that shit's batshit crazy to me.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
If the Zodiac's 12, and I can't say
it's the same as religion.
Like, oh, really? Because I'm a Gemini, I get it. Like, no, what? No, I'm not a fucking Gemini. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
So to divide the earth into Republican Democrat to me is so absurd that I would like to think.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody would legitimize either party with their affiliation. My top 5.
Okay. Number 1, the Beatles.
Beatles, yeah. It's not even close. Who? I'll put the Who. But oddly, I don't think there's a great Who album.
No.
Which is very strange. Pete gave it a shot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. All right, I got U2.
Really?
In my top 5, certainly.
Okay.
It means a lot to me. I'm gonna go Springsteen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not a band. I love Springsteen.
Oh, okay. I think you're.
But I think he's.
I think he's what a lot of people say Dylan is. Born to Run. If you just read the lyrics,
Born to Run for me is
fucking crazy.
It's by far his best album.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And but he's done some. I mean, Philadelphia and all that is great. He has. When he tried to do that folk stuff. I mean, I worked with the Pogues, and the Pogues was so great. And when Springsteen brought the accordions and the banjos in, it was embarrassing.
I heard him playing accordion by himself. I had a bootleg. There's this great place in the Village, Second Generation Records or something on Thompson or Sullivan Street, right in that area. And it was Springsteen live in Rome by himself, and he opens the show speaking Italian for like 4 straight minutes.
Right,
fluent Italian, astounding.
Bruce Springsteen, the guy
Bruce,
from New Jersey.
Yes,
okay.
He speaks in Italian. He's asking them. He tells them he's by himself. I'm only going to play a guitar, harmonica, a banjo, and an accordion. Please, no photography, please.
Right.
I beg of you, please, no photography. And I need it completely quiet. Silenzio, please. Grazie, vut. And then he does every Springsteen song. It's like 2 hours of a man alone in Rome, and you can hear a pin drop. And to hear like Brilliant Disguise, completely stripped down, and he's just screaming in like this giant Roman Colosseum, you go, oh my God, he's gonna get a fucking divorce. This is brutal. Like it's one time the song 1 like times 10,
right?
Because it's much more literal, but not
Yeah.
Is it you I don't trust? Because I damn sure don't trust myself, and all this great stuff. So I'm gonna go Beatles, Who, U2, Springsteen. I know it's so poppy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only room for one more.
Well, you say Kevin and Bean helped put this together, but I actually had people tweet me saying you should go on, and tweeted both of us, and then you said follow me and blah 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 blah.
We got it together.
And I'm weird because I only ever follow 100 people. I've got 100 people, and it's like people say follow me, and
but
I
even
say,
that's a lot.
But that means I've got to drop someone.
So you OCD about numbers?
No, that's the only thing. That's so weird.
The amount of people you follow.
Yes, it just looks nice with 100 there.
You take good photos, rock and roll photos. You seem to be obsessed with Juarez. Juanes,
I'm doing his next album.
Okay, but that's one thing, and I understand that.
And he's handsome.
He's very handsome, and there's a huge Latino audience that needs to be represented, and they need that Steve Lillywhite, U2, Unforgettable Fire, Boy.
I didn't do
Rolling
Unforgettable
Stones.
Fire. Do your fucking
That
homework.
was Daniel Lanois.
Yes, and Brian Eno. Daniel Lanois was really the engineer on Unforgettable Fire. They wanted Brian Eno to produce it. And he said, well, I'm working with this Canadian guy, Danny Lanois, and brought him down. And actually, I remember saying to Adam Clayton, God, there's this guy going around saying he's like producing your record, but I thought he was just the engineer. And Adam said, well, no, he's really good. No, he's a lovely guy.
He turned out to be pretty good.
He did turn out to be pretty good. Although Brian Eno's my favorite. I love Brian Eno because he'll talk about the size of a girl's tits as well as the most intelligent thing in the world.
What's more intelligent about the size of a girl? I mean, what's more intelligent than tit size? That would have been a great comeback if I just nailed it all in one shot.
That would have been. We could take
What's
it again.
more intelligent than talking about the size of a girl's tits?
No, my favorite.
It's like Damone from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Hey, what's more intelligent talking about a girl's tits?
What makes 5 pounds of fat look really good?
Nipples.
I love that.
So yeah, you're producing Juanes. However, every photo you take of him on your Twitter page, there's somebody light years more famous exactly next to you or behind you that you're ignoring.
There was Ziggy Marley.
Yeah, fucking Ziggy Marley is right behind you.
I know, isn't that cool?
And you're like all over this handsome Latino guy. I'm like, hey, Steve, Ziggy
Marley.
He's right behind you. He's got the rise, everything. Yeah. He looks like Ziggy Marley. He's the real deal.
I didn't realize that. No, I think he's going to do a duet with Juanes.
On
the album.
Hey guys, I love doing stand-up comedy, and I want you to come see me do stand-up comedy. I have a new hour and a half, and I'm going to be doing it August 16th. Wisconsin, Chicago, where are you? Chicago, you got to make the drive in. I'm going to be at the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, August 16th. My opening act is going to be Marquette basketball head coach Buzz Williams. He's going to be introducing me. He confirmed. It's going to be an amazing night of comedy, August 16th, Pabst Theater, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you live anywhere in Wisconsin, or if you live in Illinois and it's within a 2.5-hour drive, please, let's do this. Let's get this on the very next night. August 17th, Michigan. Where are you? August 17th, Royal Oak Theater in Detroit. August 17th in Detroit at the Royal Oak Theater. Please go buy yourself some tickets and come to these shows. Thank you. And I can't wait to see you, meet you, and shake your hand. All of my shows, as always, meet and greet for everybody. August 16th, Pabst Theater in Milwaukee. August 17th, Royal Oak Theater in Detroit. I love you guys. I cannot wait to see you out there. Make the drive. I'm getting on an airplane. You can't get in a car. Let's do it.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you want to battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
It'll be about an hour.
Really?
An hour, probably longer because you fascinate me, Steve Lillywhite.
Steve Lillywhite is my name. Steve Lillywhite is my nature.
Silly White.
Silly White.
Twitter.
My finger slipped when I.
Photo. You and Juanes are holding one another. Beach volleyball. That photo. You guys have your shirts off playing beach volleyball. Val Kilmer, Tom Cruise, right behind you.
Yeah.
You don't even know it. You have no idea it's happening.
I didn't know that. No.
What is a producer?
And Jared fucking Leto. He's too handsome as well. Why am I working with these handsome men?
'Cause I don't know.
And why am I wearing pink?
I don't mind that you're wearing pink. The fact that you put it together with red pants is a little alarming. Go on.
No, there's another word for pink. I was salmon.
Yeah, pink, but that's red.
These are red. No, actually, these are what I wear all the time.
Yeah.
This is just... I thought, you're not going to take a picture.
You know what?
This is a podcast.
When you produce Dirty Work, the Rolling Stones album, that almost broke up the band. I produced,
as I say, the worst ever Rolling Stones album. Until the next one.
I disagree.
Until
Bridges
the
to
next
Babylon,
one.
I think, is much worse.
Yeah.
That's paint by numbers garbage.
Until the next one.
What was the next one after that? No, Steel Wheels was after that. Steel Wheels was great.
No, Steel Wheels was before mine.
No, 88.
Was it?
Yeah, 89, 88.
I don't
Same
know.
as Time Out of Mind, Bob Dylan.
Ah, right, you see.
Excuse me, same as Oh Mercy by Bob Dylan,
Oh, Mercy.
which is
Okay.
tremendous.
Yeah.
That was produced by...
Lanois.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's at that time he was doing the
competitive are you
Neville.
guys?
He was doing the Neville Brothers, which is a brilliant record as
Yeah.
well. What was the Neville Brothers album he did called?
I don't know. I never
Something Moon.
scooped
You
their
never heard
stuff up.
the Neville Brothers? Oh.
But I hear other bands taking like Neville Brother tracks and putting it on their albums, and like Eyes of the Maker and stuff, and like Dylan pulled a couple things.
Yeah.
Willie Nelson Teatro Lanois.
Yeah.
Like they pulled Neville Brother drum tracks that never got used.
Right.
And that was in Eyes of the Maker with Willie Nelson. You're like, like Willie Nelson. It seems like some of these artists, I'm talking about you now, Steve Lillywhite, Lanois, forget it. But, I do want to know how competitive producers are. Do you guys lobby for bands?
Well, there's the good guys and the bad guys.
Lanois, good guy? Eno, Lanois, Lillywhite seem to be the big three.
Well, there was a...
Mutt Lang? Said that like
I
Norm
engineered for
Macdonald.
Mutt Langer. Yeah. There was a friend of mine. I was thinking about doing a U2 book with Eno, Lanois, me, and Flood.
Yeah.
And
now he's an engineer turned.
Yeah, producer. Yeah. But someone said, you know what that book should be called? U2 by Us Four. He is very much true to his thing. And in fact, Keith Richards never let drugs or alcohol overtake the love of music.
Now he writes that in his
you
book.
can't say that about Jimi Hendrix
or most people in
or
music.
a lot of people in music.
Yeah, there's a lot. You could tell by the album when they were fucked up because the album it stinks.
Yeah.
And in most bands, and Keith wrote that in his book, and you go, well, that sounds like an addict defending himself, but you actually produced Rolling Stones albums, so you can firsthand the music was his mistress, his lord.
Yeah,
it was the son.
Absolutely. And okay, his heroin taking was a very short period of time, and he did say the fact that he went to Switzerland to have his blood changed is an urban myth.
Yeah,
what about the Richard Gere one? Is that an urban myth?
No, I'm the one. I gave him the gerbil.
Oh, you did give it.
It was with me. I don't know how I get out of that story every
time. But you know what?
His name was Mabel, right?
The gerbil's name was Mabel. Yeah.
But the great thing about the gerbil story is that it actually appeared before the internet. Pretty much,
Yes.
we all knew about that.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's an incredible.
I was in New Jersey. You were in England.
Yes,
and we all thought Richard
knew
Gere
about the gerbil.
had to go to the hospital with a gerbil stuck in his ass. That was a great urban myth. The other one I heard as a kid was Rod Stewart was rushed to the hospital because he had a quart of cum in his stomach and he had poisoning. He had cum poisoning.
I heard about Little Kim.
Little Kim?
Little Kim, same story.
And the other one, when I was a kid, my sister told me, she goes, you realize Elton John, this is her words,
Right.
parentheses, SIC, sick. She goes, did you hear it? I go, what? She said, Elton John's retarded. I go, what? He goes, yeah, he's retarded. He's like a retarded person.
I actually have a true Elton John story that I can't say it.
All right. Well, let's talk about my Amazon ad. jmoore.com. Click the Amazon banner. But this one involves you, Steve Lillywhite.
Really?
This is Kismet. I'm checking these as I'm putting the baby down. I look through these, and it says, hey, JJ, I just went to jmoore.com, click the Amazon banner, bought Oswald the Octopus DVD for my 2-year-old. I remember you mentioning it on one of your recent podcasts. It's truly a great cartoon. I didn't go Sarah Brady big, but every bit counts. Keep up the good work. Hey, try to get Steve Lillywhite on the podcast. He keeps going on Kevin and Bean, and he's amazing. Put your name on it. Geronimo Cabrero, California.
Well, I did.
And here you are. How
Here
weird
I
is
am.
that? The odds of that are zero.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I did have.
True?
It really did. I was trying to get. I was silly way before that with when AOL came out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now about to give away my email address.
I'm still on AOL, yeah.
I'm still on AOL.
And Mohr is in it.
Yeah.
My last name is in my email address.
Yeah. Did you see my tweet to you today?
I did.
Why?
What's a blue
You're not.
tick?
You weren't born in 1937. So
my
why
father
is it
was born in 1937.
Is that why you
and my
put
father
37?
Yes, and my father used to race cars. And the number on his race car when I was a kid was 37. So when it came time to pick numbers for baseball, everyone's arguing over the 8 and the 2 and the 5. I said, I'll be 37. And everybody went, all right. Nobody argues over the 37.
So that's your lucky number.
Yeah, I guess. It's a good number. It's a prime number.
Yeah, and you can never put it on roulette, though, can you?
No, you cannot, which makes me get up and move from the roulette wheel.
I've got this great way of winning at roulette.
Oh, how's that, honey?
Because when I was doing the Killers this year, last year, I was staying at the hotel, and I would walk past the roulette every night. And I would go up to the roulette table, and I would look at a number, and I think, okay, my birthday. I would not put any money on it. And then, when the wheel went round and the ball didn't land on my spot, I won.
So you didn't lose,
it was fucking,
gain,
no,
win?
I won every time because I didn't lose.
If you came out 0, you're equal.
Exactly.
That's a very smart thing to do.
I love that.
People at roulette wheels, if you put, sometimes if walking through, and I don't think I like how you slipped in when I was with the Killers. Like, we're not going to circle back to that.
Okay.
Steve Lillywhite, you have produced, like, the soundtrack to my life.
Oh, you're the best.
No, I am the best.
Yes.
Let's expound on that. If you want to order anything from Amazon, go to jmohr.com. Eliminate the Amazon. See, these are called toolbars. You probably produce entire albums using your computer sometimes.
No.
You're reel-to-reel still, like the old...
I'm both Luddite and futuristic at the same time.
I like that. I like there's a riot happening over...
Mick Jagger once said to me, Keith's really Luddite, you know.
Keith's really Luddite.
And I didn't really know. I had to look it up.
What does it mean, slow?
Luddite is someone who doesn't understand technology.
But if Keith Richards understands technology, we all need new jobs.
I know. I actually introduced Keith Richards to Robert Cray, and that was like the newest blues he'd even heard.
Ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
But that's what makes Keith great, because